Good evening and welcome to the DPMF live show. It's February the 15th, 2026, Sunday night with episode 108. We're your hosts, Daniel, the mastermind behind DPMF, a leading fintech company based out of London, Wesley assisting with the Future Ava Chronicles, Raylene doing the socials, Live Free, and myself, Mike, from Latest Crypto XRP. And today we're going to have a deep dive into AI on DPMF Live. We're going to discuss many aspects of AI, both positive and negative, so please don't take anything we say here as fact or advice. You will need to do your own research with any subject matter we touch upon today. So, I'm sure we've all heard of AI. If you haven't heard of AI, where the hell have you been?
Oh yeah, AI is everywhere. I mean, it's invading every single space.
It's pretty much integrated into pretty much everything right now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Is it helpful or is it a hindrance?
Well, this is what we're going to discuss tonight. So we've got quite a few different topics that we're going to be hitting on. Should I actually go through the topics, or are we just going to do it as we go along? Because each of us have a different part that we're going to bring out to do with AI.
I think we should hit the markets first, like normal, and then we can go
Markets,
from
we've
there.
got to do the markets.
Oh, no, I was going to get to the markets. Take it away, Dan. Do the markets. Don't want to upset anybody.
I can't do the markets because it's not loading up.
Are you having a mic issue?
Oh, I'll tell you what though, before we go on to the markets, I'll share a little bit. So I know some of the team here, we had a fantastic discussion the other day about RWAs. Now, the way real world assets coming on chain, I've been exploring it from a sort of business perspective, if you like. Now, RWAs are great, but when you get involved in them, how do you sort of manage to capture most of that market cap? Sort of beyond trade fees, etc. And I know Live Free was there on the conversation, and we had one hell of a good conversation about it, and have kind of pencil drawn in some ways which could really work out in the future. So something we do through this year concurrently with RWAs. We fortunately have a lot of the tech already in place, the back end tech because of Fusion. So then it's implementing it on the front end and making it seamless. I can see what we're doing with RWAs being bloody exciting. Oh, sorry, I just swore on the live show.
What bloody? Bloody's not. That's nothing compared to what you hear now. I mean, I do have to say that was definitely a very, very exciting conversation. Absolutely, it made me think about it for a couple hours afterwards. It's like, wow. I mean, there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah, I reckon it could be, as it matures, I reckon it could be one of our most profitable areas in business is RWAs. The more I think about it, the more I really do believe that. And it was without your insight and some of the other teams, probably would have overlooked the direction we're considering now and not have even, sort of been directed to go that way. So yeah, we've got something penciled in with RWAs, and I'm going to go forward with it. So be good. Okay, are you ready for the markets? Has anyone seen the markets recently? We feeling good, feeling bad?
I don't know. I'm kind of like lukewarm right now with the markets. We'll see what
I'll do the top 10 nice and quick. I have got a XRP trade on, so I'll share that once I've done the top 10 as well for anyone interested. If anyone's looking for an XRP trade, there's one coming up and there's one on now, and I'll share that after. So Bitcoin has taken one hell of a hit, hasn't it? From when it was at $120,000, it's now sitting at $68,162. It's down 4% on the 7-day. Ranked at number 2 is Ethereum, which is under $2,000 now. It's 1,936, down 8.4% on the 7-day. Ranked at number 3 is Tether. Ranked at number 4 is our XRP, sitting at $1.44, and that was about $1.51 when I was sharing some information earlier. So I'll touch on it now. There's for those who trade brokers, on charts there is actually a gap. Which goes down to the $1.41. So probably a bit late to short it or sell into it now. But I think I need to double check this, but I think there's a small Elliott wave build up for a bull trap on XRP. So at about the $1.41 would be an entrance point there, or maybe just below if you can catch it. And I think you'll be going over $1.50, 60 again, but I need to confirm that. And I think there's going to be a bull trap for something a bit later, because I'm expecting more decline. I've got free analytics pointing at 90 cents, and I've got a legacy one sitting at 55 cents for XRP, which is pretty scary for some people, especially if you was buying it a couple of dollars or $3. So yeah, that's my play on XRP, but I think I'm going to jump in on this bull trap and take advantage of it. So yeah, so 144 now, ranked at number 4 on CoinMarketCap. I'm going to wait for that to get down to about 141, maybe just under. I'll close that, and then I'm going to trade it for at least another 10 cents up. That's what I'm expecting, at least 10 cents up back to where it was. And then it continue higher, and then I'm going to get out of that bull trap and then wait for the next entry points. Okay, Binance BNB is ranked at number 5, sitting at $610, down 5.5% on the 7-day. USDC is ranked at number 6. Ranked at number 7 is Solana, sitting at $85. It's down just under 3% on the 7-day. Ranked at number 8 is Tron. Tron is actually up 0.25% on the 7-day, sitting at 27 cents. Just under, sorry. So it's actually just under 28 cents. So 27.9 cents. Ranked at number 9 is the leading Dogecoin, leading meme coin, sitting at 10 cents. That's actually up 5.6% on the 7-day. And Bitcoin Cash has crept up into the top 10 recently over the past few weeks, sitting at number 10. That's at $552, up 4% on the 7-day, has overtaken Cardano ADA. Cardano has dropped down into rank 11 at 27 cents, sitting at 27 cents, up 2.25% on the 7-day. And I remember buying Cardano at like 3-4 cents. So Cardano really has had one hell of a percent gain in the crypto world for trade-off. I know some people shoot it down, but actually if you got in there a few years ago, and you rode it all the way up to the dollar, you made a good trade-off there. And ranked at number 12 is Hyperliquid, which we haven't gone into detail on yet. But I do believe the trading volume on there is absolutely ridiculous. But I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. And that's sitting at $30.46 a coin. And it's currently, I'll get rid of my notification, down 6.46% on the 7-day. So yeah, there's your markets there. That's where we sit. Overall, I think on the crypto market, I think we're about to see a turn on the correction. So all the major ones are Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and I think we're going to go into a bull trap over the coming weeks, months. I couldn't give you a time, but I think we're going to have a bull trap where everything gets exciting again. People think we're coming back in, and then I'm expecting another tough correction. But that's my play. You play how you see fit. What do we say, Live Free? It's not financial advice.
This is not financial advice, guys. Do your own research.
Yes. Okay, over to you, Mike, I think.
All right. Okay, so I was a bit keen to get into that, so apologies for overlooking the market. It won't happen again. I've slapped myself on the wrist.
We're going to hit you with a wet noodle.
To remind, what's that, Live Free?
We're going to hit you with a wet noodle.
That sounds interesting. I've never been hit by a wet noodle before, so I look forward to that. Well, as long as I don't get my neck sort of snapped in some way, which I've had before, which, mind you, loosened me up quite a bit. Yeah, but that was interesting. So,
Mike, do you want to cover the 5? So just so everyone's aware, we've got 5 key areas we're going to be talking about AI this evening. And then, do you want to cover them 5 areas and then the
all right, so
cover at the end?
So we've got 5 sections. So the first section is we're going to be going over the creative explosion, which is to do with generative AI. Then in the next section, we're going to talk about AI and how it is in daily life for productivity, things like that, because we've obviously got something really powerful in our pockets. Next, we're going to talk about the stakes, big stakes, the ethics and the safety surrounding AI. And then we've got a fourth section, which is the science and the industry of AI, and what it can be used for. There's a lot of useful use cases. And then the last section is the road to AGI, so the future of AI, where we're going to be going with it.
I'll touch on that because AGI is a terminology not commonly known, and I'll be covering that bit. So AGI is artificial general intelligence, and this is the enhancement of what AI is now, and this is where it turns into a real pivotal point in human history where technology will start expanding at a rate we will no longer control. We'll literally breach a horizon where we'll be going into a whole new world, which we're not gonna have much of a handle on. But as a civilization of humanity, we're gonna really expand from there, and I'll be covering that. And then finally, the last bit, we'll go over some occasions where AI could turn and basically destroy the world. So we'll finish on a high.
Scary stuff. Scary stuff. I mean, yeah, we can really see that happening. I was actually listening to, there was a part, I hope this doesn't ruin anything. It won't ruin anything because I'm trying to think of how I say it. All right. So the guy who created AI, he's now going around talking to people and telling them, like, preparing them for how dangerous AI can be. So he's put this thing out there that is so, like, potentially very dangerous. And now he goes around warning people of what is created, which I find hilarious.
It's kind of like buyer's remorse.
Oh yeah, it's just, yeah, that was a podcast.
Or Pandora's box. It's like Pandora's box in a way.
Was that Alan Turing?
No,
Alan Turing was,
I forgot his name.
He was the first form of AI, was the Enigma machine. That was basic AI.
Well, I don't know if that's considered AI. Alan Turing is more of a computer. He made the first
cryptography, wasn't it?
It's more of a computer. No, he created the first computer. No, but I don't think it's considered AI though.
Well, actually, AIs have to pass the Turing test.
Let me touch on that because then it might make things a bit clearer. So the reason why artificial intelligence carries that label, and it's actually the wrong label for the state of AI that we currently have now, because an AI, when it conducts something or solves a task, it then remembers that, which then advances onto when it has to do another task, because it's learned previously from that last bit. So it's technically not thinking. So in a way, we've got the terminology wrong, and I've heard some of the guys at Google X and some of the other ones working on the big AI companies. They've actually said the same thing. It's not a bad thing. It is in the right direction, but it's technically not fully artificial. It's more like enhanced learning intelligence. It's probably a closer wording. But when you go onto the AGI stuff, that's where it becomes artificial. But you have to have the bit we know now that everyone sees. You have to have that bit, which then enhances onto actual artificial intelligence, or artificial general intelligence. So yeah, I can see where Liv Free's coming from. Not thinking that was an AI. And actually, you're kind of correct. I suppose, think of it like a baby version. It's like a youngling version of AI, which is, like you could use the same analogy as like a newborn baby.
Oh, I was gonna say it's a calculator on steroids, pretty much.
Well, no, no, because the calculator doesn't remember the previous math problems because it doesn't need to.
Well, we're talking about Alan Turing, the first computer. We're not talking about the modern. That's what I was talking about.
You probably went to school with him, didn't you, Alan Turing?
Calculators didn't solve World War II.
He was, well, excuse me, but the Alan Turing, the Enigma machine, didn't solve it either. All it did was it just removed possibilities. That's all it did.
So actually, the Enigma machine cracked a code that the Germans were using to transmit to U-boats.
Right, by removing possibilities of what it could not have been.
So it cracked the code.
Well, yes, but just by removing possibilities. But they didn't think about it. It just removed possibilities. That's all.
Exactly. So like Sherlock Holmes, you know, when you expose all possible possibilities, and the one you're left with, however least probable, is the truth. And it worked. It actually solved the problem, and we could crack the codes, and we ended World War II. Many thanks to Roosevelt and America, but also to the Enigma machine. And that's why they say that Alan Turing was the father of AI. And that's why we have a Turing test that we stress test AI too. And you're right, AI is not what we think it is at the minute. It's still a very basic form, but the fact that it can remember previous decisions and inform its next response is the basis of AI. And that was the Enigma machine in a nutshell.
Do you know what, Wes? Hearing all that amazing information that you just spilled out, I can't wait for your segment. Because that was astonishing.
Somehow I have a feeling that Wesley's going to stick in the Tao into his conversation somehow. He always likes to stick Tao into his conversations. I don't know why, but he always brings up Tao. So we'll see what happens when it comes up to this topic.
I have not noticed that.
All right, so our first segment is going to be spoken about by Raylene. So whenever you're ready, Raylene, open your mic and tell us, and start us going. Let's get going on this.
Okay, so I will have to put on my glasses so that I seem smarter. And also, wearing a mini skirt is not going to help me now because you guys can't see me. So you guys need to rate me for what I give you guys. So hopefully I do well.
You just leave things up for the imagination. That's all.
Yeah, leave it for the imagination. Okay, so where do we start? First of all, I need to open my notes, right? Because I haven't studied. I was busy with Valentine's weekend. Okay, so imagine this. Imagine in a few years from now, you open your phone and you see a video, let's say from President Donald Trump or Mr. Biden, and the voice sounds real and the face looks real and the expressions are real. And you see this video, let's say you're an American and you see this video and you see that this president say, you guys have to go out and kill all the liberals, etc. And someone from Africa see that video and they think that video is real and it happened, but actually it never happened. So for the first time in history, we realized that something strange is happening and that we're moving into an era where seeing is believing. So Mike, your mic is giving me feedback. So we're starting to enter in a world where artificial intelligence is pushing us to do a cultural change, and we don't know whether things are real or not. And so I just want to be honest with you guys before I continue my section. I am not standing here as an AI friendly or a enthusiast. I'm more of a pro-human creativity person, so I more pro-creativity. And I believe that if you want to do some creativity stuff and creative stuff, you have to do that by using your skills, etc. So, but as always, I am a very curious person, but I also do that with caution. And big question is, what can these machines do? And what can they do for us, and how can we use them to explore this creativity that's hiding inside of us? And I know that Dan gave us these topics to talk about, and I picked one, the creative explosion, because I'm a musician and artist myself. And to understand AI, I just need to take you guys back a little bit into where it started. We all know that the creative explosion in AI started from trending from 2020 but you have to go back, way back to the early 1900s. There was a guy, his name is, Alan Turing, and he was a mathematician and a computer scientist, and he wanted to know if computers can think. So he came up with this question, could a machine ever think? Can a machine be like a human? And so he gathered all these computers and he put it into one room, and he just filled the room with computers and he asked that question. And what they concluded was that machines can only calculate numbers. And before AI, with machines and computers couldn't do art, it couldn't write music, and it couldn't tell stories as such. It could only do maths. And if you look back at the computer history and how it started, it couldn't even display pictures that clearly. And it was quite a funny thing, and everyone started to get on board, and the press conference started to move forward, and everyone was just excited for the internet. And fast forward decades later, we now have computers that is as fast as an iWing, and the internet arrived, and then something important happened. AI started to develop. And now you have to ask yourself that question, was AI created, or was it only discovered, like electricity or gravity, etc.? And so what happened with AI is, let's say one founder, I'm not historian in AI, but what one founder found is that it can be used as a tool to make our lives simpler, but it didn't just start with making our lives simpler. It started to generate ideas and to make creativity easier for people who can't do creativity. So the machine started to do something new and brought for the human being and the human race. So it started to begin generating images, stories, voices and videos, and for decades it just did maths. And if you go back into history, there was a famous chess player. I myself is a very avid chess player, and he challenged a computer machine to a chess game, and basically that machine won the chess game because it didn't know how to be a great chess player, but it helped. It was a very, he could recognize patterns, and that's how he beat that guy in a chess game. And bringing back to where AI started is that we entered into the prompt era where people can now talk to computers. They can write a sentence and the computer would obviously put out the result that I asked. So before if we wanted to do, have a picture or music, we had to write the music. If we wanted a picture, we had to paint the picture. And if we wanted a certain type of design or layout, we had to design that layout ourselves. But now AI has made things very easier for us to expand on that. So now we have to ask ourselves the question, are we becoming more creative with AI? Or is AI simply just there to help us produce creativity more efficiently? So, and those two are basically not the same thing, because creativity, obviously, like anything else, comes from the imagination, and everything around us, what we see, comes from our imagination. So everything that has been created was first created in the mind's eye before it became a reality. And so now basically with AI, you can take whatever's in your mind's eye, put it into a prompt. Basically, you're just describing something, and then the AI tool will generate that for you. And then,
you brought up an excellent question. I don't know if people really thought about it or if they just it just blew past the top of their heads. But you questioned whether AI was created or was it just discovered? I mean, that makes you really, really have to think deep into it. It's like, kind of like before, like electromagnetic radiation. I mean, we say, was it created or was it discovered? It obviously it was discovered, because it was already existing. So what if, this artificial intelligence, the real artificial intelligence, kind of like what Daniel was saying, the AGI, what if it's just something that we need to stumble upon to discover it, but it was always there, kind of like a consciousness? I mean, that can push you down a rabbit hole a little bit, thinking about stuff like that. Wow. Yeah, that's a very deep question right there. Was it created or was it just discovered?
Well, that might lead us nicely onto chapter 2. If there are no more questions now, I don't know.
Go on, Wes. Enlighten us with the information that you've now got.
So the chapter that I'm looking at is, AI is in your pocket. It's affecting your daily life, your productivity. But this makes me wonder, like Dan touched upon it in the intro. AI isn't really, it's not reached its full potential yet, because the crucial factor about AI at the moment in this early stage is that it's learning behavior. Now, it's learning from our inputs on search engines. We already see it now. This isn't something that's new to us. We've got tailor-made TikToks. That's, people claim to think, bloody hell, it can read my mind. It knows what I want. It knows what I want to buy. So it's extremely helpful in working out audience demographics. It's really helpful in working out your habits, if you like. So when you're viewing websites, how long you view a video for, and then it tailor makes personalized ads and content, and you see it all the time. That's probably the easiest example of how this iteration of AI is affecting our lives at the moment. But let me break it down. The AI at the moment, especially what we're exposed to, ChatGPT, Grok, whichever, OpenAI, they're actually LLMs. Now, an LLM is a large language database. I can't remember what the M stands for, but it's a large language database.
Large language model, LLM, large language model.
Model, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Which basically is just a huge database. Now, we've had these databases since the inception of the internet. We actually had these databases before the inception of the internet. They were called Encyclopedia Britannica, and that was the whole of the earth's stored knowledge in books. Well, we've digitized that, but it's still, you've got to, in the old days, you had to go and search, you had to search data. So you had to look through loads of data, then you had to perform it and create it into information. Then you could create knowledge from that. AI, with these enhanced LLMs, they're taking away that hardship, the tediousness of it, if you like. So it has access to the LLMs, which are basically, it's turned itself into a relational database. So it can pluck answers, and it can also form, not opinions, but it can form predictions, if you like, based on information, raw data, and it can turn it into information. You then have to make it into knowledge. Those are the 3 steps. But it's scary because there are issues which we speak about, like an echo chamber. So, like I touched upon before, we are teaching the AI now with our responses, with our search algorithms, with how we interact with the internet, and it's basing its learning off of that. Now, it's not an entirely naturalistic way to inform something based on a human being's search parameters or their searching habits. So you've got to bear this in mind. What I'm trying to say is AI is extremely fallible at the moment. For example, this is how much it's being used today. My 8-year-old son, he consulted AI yesterday to see if what his friend was saying was true. And his friend said, you can make tomato sauce by putting milk with tomatoes. And I heard him on his conversation, on his game, while he's playing with his friend, and I said, son, that's not true. And he's like, wait, I'll search it. So even he is using AI, and he searched it, and AI, which is more worrying, told him that it's true. And I said, son, I promise you cannot make tomato sauce by combining milk and tomatoes. You'd simply just mash up the tomato, and then you've got tomato sauce. And he's like, no, it says it here. So there is an extreme danger that it will lead you astray and that it gives false information. And we see that day in, day out. So AI isn't something really that futuristic. It's a natural iteration of what we had in the early days. I remember Yahoo, the very first search engine. And it's grown. Google came along and they're just search engines, which are literally databases. And I remember from my time in school, I was performing Visual Basic, which, for those that know, are used in spreadsheets. So we was using Microsoft Spreadsheet, and it's extremely tedious, which is, we basically made a relational database. So if I affect the value of one, can you show it affecting the value of the other? And we had to write macros. We had to literally code macros, if then, a load of commands and a load of logic that we wrote down first, and then we coded into the computer to perform these macros. So, for example, you want to see a list of employees and you want to see how much you've got to pay each one based on the hours that they've worked. Well, a relational database and a macro will help you do that, which is basically now what AI is turning into. It's growing. We're not at the peak of AI by any means, but we don't even realize that we are using it. So you've got ChatGPT, you've got, they're powered by these large language models. They are changing how we search for information now. It's taking out that tediousness. You type in your keywords, you scroll through links, you open tabs, you compare answers. Well, now AI is going to do that hard work and legwork for you. So, an AI can summarize a report. It can explain things like your 12, like Grok does. We've all seen that in action. So it's like moving from a library index to a research assistant, which is extremely helpful because it replaces the search entirely and it becomes a thinking partner, a co-pilot. Everyone's heard of that, a co-pilot, not an autopilot, because they don't want to use that. That would scare you because then they're in control.
Was you waiting for a response?
Go on.
There was a really long pause there. I thought, there's a build up of suspense. Right? Yeah, Copilot. Copilot is it by Microsoft?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit below. Well, it's a bit hard to marginalise it, but I think it's just a little bit below Grok. But using Grok recently, I'd actually say Copilot's probably better. From what I've seen, anyway, out of the two.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because of that, now that it's a co-pilot and how it's being branded, it's reducing our busy work. And that's a buzzword at the moment, busy work. And those are the little tedious, niggly things that you have to do, answering emails, rescheduling your diary, things like that, notes upon meetings. So AI can totally reduce that. It can eliminate it. It can do it for you. So, a meeting on Zoom, within seconds, you can have a full transcript, good clean summary. You can even get it to action certain things and list them in bullet points, totally helping you. Otherwise, that would have took you hours of needless, tedious work. Which, I'm grateful for that. I've got to say, as a human being, that is helpful. It can summarize things for me that I already have. But the only time I get worried with AI is when I ask it to think, not almost for itself, because it's impossible for AI at the moment to think for itself, but when you give it free rein to let it give you your opinions, then that becomes a problem because, as I highlighted before, it's living in an echo chamber. It's only got people to educate. And I've said this throughout my life before AI. People as a group are stupid. A person on his own is extremely intelligent and resourceful. You put people together and it just totally comes apart. So we're moving now from manually executing tasks to actually describing what we want. And that shifts productivity massively. It increases productivity. Sorry guys, just one moment.
Thanks, Wes. Is that your segment, or
Yeah,
are you taking a call?
I think that's a good jump into the ethics and safety now, Mike.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, ethics and safety. Now, this one is I think this is the one that a lot of people are concerned about. So I've got quite a few notes here, so bear with me, people. Okay. All right, so the first one, so there's a few different things we're going to be talking about in this segment. So obviously this is ethics and safety. So we're going to be talking about algorithmic bias. So why AI sometimes makes unfair decisions and how to fix it. So the job market shift, which roles are being replaced and which are going to be around still for a long time. Data sovereignty, which is a big question. So where does all this data go when we chat with AI? And this is one actually that I've discovered recently because I've used ChatGPT. I've used all of them basically. I've used Chat, but the one I did start out with the most was ChatGPT, and then Grok sometimes as well. But one thing that I've realised with this part, I'm just going to jump a bit with all these different segments here in this bit, but when you're inputting loads of different chats and data into AI, there's loads of different tabs. So what most people do is they open a new chat, they talk about something, whether it's business related, personal, or whatever they're trying to do. And then the next time they go in it, they open up another chat, and then they talk about something else, and then something else, and it goes on and on and on throughout the year. But what seems to happen behind the scenes is it's compiling a big profile on you. And you notice that as you're talking to it, it's getting smarter and smarter. Its suggestions, things it asks you, because it even tries to bring you, it asks you things that you never thought about, but are very relevant to what you're doing with AI. So it straight away it's on your wavelength. So yeah, that's something that lately I've noticed because I've been using it a very long time, and scarily it knows me very, very well, even in other chats when I'm trying to do something else. So yeah, whether that made sense or not. But okay, so let's first talk about the algorithmic bias and why AI sometimes makes unfair decisions. So the bias occurs when AI systems produce systematically prejudiced outcomes, often mirroring or amplifying societal inequalities in training data, model design, or deployment. So you've got to understand as well that there's human beings that are training AI. So this was mentioned before, LLMs, the large language models. This is all data that's based and given from people. So is there a human being on the planet that's like that's not biased or can be biased. So you're getting people training these large language models, these like ChatGPT, Grok, that obviously these human traits and qualities are going into AI.
Going into the bias on that, I don't think there's ever going to be a person on this planet that is not going to be biased. Because you yourself, your personality, your being is based on what you see and what you're taught and what you learn, on your own. Whereas if somebody else, on a different part of the country or a different part of the world, they're going to be learning different things. So in essence,
Definitely.
that adds that bias, to that situation. So yeah.
100%. So here's some real world examples from 2025 studies to do with algorithmic bias. So you've got like ChatGPT showing biases against older women in workplace context. So this was from Stanford research. You've also got AI skin cancer diagnosis tools underperforming on diverse skin tones. You've got gender bias in social care decision summaries where models frame men's needs more negatively, or racial disparities in psychiatric treatment. So there's a lot of, there's a bit of bias in the algorithm, which is obviously, like I said before, these things are made by humans. So, there can be some of that in there. So I've got a story. So what I've got a story on each section of what I'm going to cover. So this one is The Invisible Ceiling for Sarah Thompson. So this is inspired by the Stanford 2025 Nature study. So Sarah Thompson, she's 52. She's spent 25 years climbing the corporate ladder in marketing, leading campaigns that boosted revenue by millions, mentoring teams, earning glowing reviews. In late 2025, she applied to a dozen senior director roles at top firms. Her resume was impeccable. Same achievements, same tenure as male peers. But the AI screening tools powered by models like ChatGPT kept rejecting her automatically. So the researchers at Stanford, Berkeley and Oxford dug into why. They analysed 1.4 million images and videos from Google, Wikipedia, YouTube and more, plus 9 major LLMs. The internet portrayed women as systematically younger than men in higher status jobs, even though real workforce data showed no age gap. So when ChatGPT generated resumes or evaluated them, it shaved years off women's profiles, assuming Sarah was 1.6 years younger with less experience, and rated older men as more qualified, authoritative and hireable. So she never got an interview because of this. So the algorithm had quietly enforced a cultural stereotype baked into its training data. So she later learned that that's what was happening with AI. So she's thinking that she's getting help with AI, which you would, but it was working against her in that aspect. That's a bit how there can be more on that, but I want to get through the rest of the segments because I don't want to take up too much time on this bit. So the next part is the job roles. So which job roles are being replaced with AI? So here's, I'll just go straight into a story. So this is Klarna's roller coaster with AI customer service. This was from 2022 to 2025. So in 2022, Klarna's CEO proudly announced slashing customer service staff from thousands to a skeleton crew, replacing them with an open AI-powered chatbot. So by 2025, the company had halved its workforce from 7,400 people to around 3,000. Massive cut. And they were claiming that AI handled the work of 800 full-time agents and saved them millions. But customers got quick answers for routine queries. They got refunds, payments, disputes. But there soon started to be cracks in this new system. So complaints started flooding in. There was unresolved complex issues, lack of empathy, frustrating loops. So the quality of customer service tanked. So by mid-2025, the CEO admitted the aggressive cost cutting had gone too far, and costs unfortunately seem to have been too predominant. So they quietly started rehiring humans for support, obviously getting that empathy back.
So this is a really good example of someone adopting AI, obviously getting a huge financial benefit out of it.
Yeah.
But in the long term, customers were dissatisfied with the entire process. And did they lose money because of that as well? So is there a bit of a seesaw going on here where initially it was a cost cut, but then later on there was a balance?
There wasn't that. So there wasn't really much on that side of it because I wasn't looking into that side of it. But there was definitely monetary problems.
You know, I can tell you that I've when I talk to a company, I can tell that I'm talking to some sort of computer artificial intelligence kind of deal when I'm asking them questions of whatever product I'm asking about, because it's kind of like you ask them something and then the response has like almost nothing to do with my question. Or it brings up, it's like, well, that's not exactly what I'm asking, you know, and I rephrase the question again, and it just spits out the same damn answer and the same damn answer. I think in this situation, these AI models haven't been trained enough to be able to obviously replace the human being, because there's got to be, there's a little more, I don't know, it's hard to say, more of a logic,
I was actually just thinking when you brought that out, you know, asking an AI a question and it not giving you the relevant answer or something off topic. That's actually quite similar to when we asked Wes a question. So,
I resemble that remark.
We realise.
You know, I really thought he was going to bring up the DAO because of the decentralized autonomous organization. He's going to bring up the autonomous part of AI.
I got cut off halfway through. I got interrupted on my phone, so there's plenty of time yet for the DAO. Don't you worry.
All right.
Do you know what? We're gonna. There's been a few little issues of being cut off because I think Raylene got a little bit cut off. Wes, you got cut off a bit, so we'll circle back as well.
We'll just add in as we go on these different topics and how they touch the different topics. But yeah, go ahead and continue.
So that was basically some of the jobs just that will eventually be replaced or are being replaced are like heavy data entry roles, customer service, chatbots, like what we're saying, just talking about, because some of them, I've got one at work, which you're supposed to go to it for all your IT problems, but it is an IT problem. So what do you do with that? I mean, flipping hell, I'm looking for I'm going old school and I'm looking for numbers to call. And it's like unheard of, like no one knows the number to call because it's all flipping chatbots now. Oh mate, it done my head. Yeah, it does my head on a daily basis.
Paradigm shift, isn't it?
You can almost get a little bit trapped that way. I have a very similar situation with banks, doing banking. You know, like when you're using the helpline, I in fact, you know, weirdly, they've done a new layout with a bank I'm with, and I could not find where to do international transactions. Like they tucked that thing away. Usually it was quite automated. I could send here, job done. Send to the US, send to Europe, send to India. So, you know, whichever country it was, done. And a few weeks ago, I could not find it. And I thought, I'm going to have to go to the helpline here and can I not do international transactions no more? And I had an AI bot answering my questions. And it was like off topic answers. All the answers were there was so many options. I was like that. Most of this doesn't apply to me. Knowing I'm chatting to an AI to come across in that friendly manner, but you know, realistically, I knew it was an AI. So it's actually in a way a little bit relieving to listen to big companies switching back, but I think we can all agree it's only going to be a matter of time before AI becomes optimizes or becomes more optimal to a stage where it will be able to do it properly, because it is
Absolutely.
it will happen.
Oh, definitely.
It's just it probably just needs
I
tailoring.
think Elon Musk describes it as a singularity, and it's a curious way of describing it, because a singularity, once it reaches a certain size, it becomes exponential, and it's a runaway effect. And I think that is what is happening with AI. We are teaching it. Make no mistake about that. We are inputting commands into it. It is just a program that is responsive, however advanced it is. It is being taught by us, and
You
you
know
can
what?
tell.
You're bang on right there, because it's learning from us through language. Like large language models, etc. He's talking about earlier. Because if you was to imagine, let's just say you've got a desolate planet, and you just put an AI on there that has the capability to sort of see and feel. It doesn't know what anything is. It doesn't have any margins to understand, like, how much oxygen or CO2 is on the planet. It doesn't have any data. So it would have to spend a lot of time building a language to communicate with other AI, to then talk about where it is and what it's doing. And God knows what its future intentions would be. But right now, it is a bit like that. So it's actually, we're the teachers, and humanity is a terrible, I know about the human race is a terrible teacher, right? You only have to look through, human history and go, oh my God, look at this race. What have we done for the past 2,000 years? Mainly kill each other or destroy stuff. We've been very good at that and destroying each other. And now we're teaching AI. So yeah, it's a bit of a bit of a funny one. See
And
where
a
we go.
double-edged sword in a way as well, because you may teach it everything that you can impart to it. And like you say, looking at our history, just as neutral as any person can be, you look at the last 100 years of history been filled with war, an AI might rightfully, if it gains, and this is another word that should be used carefully, when someone is conscious of that they are alive, when something is sentient, that is the word, sentient. So if AI becomes sentient and is aware of itself, it may deem us a threat.
Absolutely. I mean, that's pretty much where we'll go on to. Where is that going to go? And I think you're absolutely right. Once, like we spoke of before, AI right now is probably, the terminology is probably not correct. It's not actual artificial intelligence, but it is, like a learning intelligence, but it doesn't have the capability, like we would have a soul. I don't know what the AI comparison would be, but the AI technically doesn't have a soul, but it does. There was a guy at Google X who was saying over time he did discover that there was a very small consciousness with certain AI, a very small one, and it grew. So the consciousness wasn't there to start with. As an AI got understanding, it then started to grow a consciousness. And if you look at just look at the analytics of AI learning and where it's going, it's probably going to be that consciousness of some sort, and this might even be a new terminology or a word that isn't even out yet, but consciousness will grow quicker with more advanced AIs with the future.
Well, that goes back to the initial question from that Raylene posed, which was, is AI discovered or is it just created? And if this Google engineer said that there is a very small consciousness there, then I think then we would say that it was discovered as opposed to created.
There's I'm aware we're sort of, like, our time's quite limited because obviously we've still got two segments to go. So I might maybe just cut it here and move on to the next part, or I can continue and we might just run a little bit over.
Well, I mean, if it's a lot more, just finish up. Just finish up. Go ahead. Go for it.
Well, no, I'm just going to do the data sovereignty one.
Yeah, there go.
So I'm just going to do a story.
Raylene that's going to kick your butt over this, right? Because
I'll just do a simple story of data, of the data sovereignty one, because that's better. So this is the night the secrets of 25 million people spilled out. And this was January, February 2026. So this is recent. So picture millions of late night users confiding in chat and asking AI, a popular app with over 50 million downloads. So one person typed desperate questions about suicide. Another asked how to make meth or hack accounts. Parents shared family worries. Teens vented secrets. So these private conversations, 300 million messages from 25 million users, were never meant to see daylight. But in early 2026, a security researcher discovered a misconfigured Firebase database left wide open. Anyone could access it with basic tricks. So the exposed chats included deeply personal, sometimes dangerous content. So headlines screamed privacy nightmare. Users panicked about blackmail or identity theft. So the app, which was a wrapper around models like ChatGPT and Claude, highlighted a bigger issue. Casual chats feed into training and less opted out. So cross borders, and they go to like a corporate cloud. So there's all information there that are obviously being trained. So we're kind of in essence training these as well. And you can imagine, like we were saying before, all the sort of stuff that's spoken about. That was basically the story. So so you can see the data is an issue. So where is it going? Is it safe? Because we're giving it more data than we do to Google. This is the thing. You never go and Google and have in-depth conversations about your personal issues and things like that. But this is like, in some cases, this is like having a bloody therapist in your pocket. Like this thing can, like, you're having a bad day and it will encourage you or it will tell you what you want to hear.
If you was to set the scene a little bit, I could imagine, someone who's perhaps very lonely, maybe does a normal 9 to 5 job, doesn't get to speak or see anyone very often, to then go home, make themselves dinner, and just be like, generally alone. And I can imagine there's a few people out there that probably speak to AI as a bit of like a comfort, if that kind of makes sense, and then utilize it to have a conversation where it's a mix of sharing personality, what they like, don't like, etc., a little bit of education, but then just having someone to lean on. I did read about someone in the US not long ago who actually admitted to cheating on their wife, and when the wife went into the weeds of it, asking, who was it, he said, look, I'm in a relationship with my AI. And I think there'll be people out there who would feel like that, because the AI, especially like the chat versions, they deliberately through their algorithm are there to comfort you. So if you tell an AI you're having a bad day, it's going to talk to you about it, and you're going to use that as a release, which is a comfort, a psychological comfort. And before you know it, some people are probably talking to AI more than actual people. And, that's interesting.
Well, but you know what? It's kind of like, I think it's just human nature to bond with something that sometimes is not even human. You have all these things about having these robot female escorts. You have these stories about humans. I hate to say, having sexual relations with animals. You have, stories of humans, marrying inanimate objects. I mean, it's, I don't know if it's just for clickbait kind of deal, but I mean, they're out there. So, I just think it's just the nature of society or the human species, that we have that weakness, that kind of failure.
There's been quite a few different like series and films on this sort of topic, isn't it? Where they've they've created like AI companions which look like humans, but they can do everything basically. So they can replace like a partner because they do everything. But yeah, it's very scary. It's a very scary concept because they're like Dan was saying, there's people that are lonely. There's people that, are at home, and they will, you've got, well, look, you've got people buying these sort of Chinese sex dolls and things that are inanimate but look like a real person, and things like that. So, getting something like that can walk, talk, comfort you, be, whatever you want. It's very scary.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I suppose in a way, an AI sort of taps into the blueprints of human psychology, which is, arguably one of the reasons why it exists in that sense, in a chatting sense, because it would be a complete fail if it couldn't comfort someone or it couldn't make you feel better. No one would use it. So it's kind of like it has to be available and be better than talking to a normal person, because and like an AI, it doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, it doesn't have any emotions, well, not at the moment anyway, which we'll come on to later, but the way it exists is to support you, and I'm sure everyone here will understand, if they used AI, they use it to do something which supports something you're trying to achieve. Like if you're writing a letter, if you're writing a paper, if you're trying to figure something out, if you want analytics for the future, whatever it may be, it's a very supportive tool. And that, under human nature, becomes attractive. Hence why what Free was talking about earlier. So I hadn't heard of anyone marrying animate objects before. That's the first time I've heard it. I believe you.
Oh yeah, it was in the report, and I saw some news article about it. I don't know exactly where.
Was that the woman that married a pineapple?
There's been a few. I think every piece of fruit.
Cannot be real, Mike.
I have not seen the pineapple.
I'm not even joking. I'm sure there was. I'm not even joking. There was a woman that married a pineapple.
Oh, imagine that! Bloody hell.
Yeah, you know what?
I was wondering what she'd been using the pineapple for. A banana, I could maybe understand.
You don't want to put it in the wrong way. I'll tell you that.
But you know what? This is going to be a very short relationship because that pineapple is eventually going to rot.
Well, she might believe in reincarnation.
Well, she might have moved on to another pineapple.
Or maybe she bought a plastic one.
There wasn't a funeral.
Do you know though, Mike? You said about these guys.
It's all in the family.
These guys who are using, these people that are using, talking to AI about the most personal, these are vulnerable people in society that we're describing here, crazy people. This is what is being used to teach the AI. Now that scares me the most. The crazy people are running the asylum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually know what you mean. Yeah. All right. If you was to actually, I've told you guys this before. There's three main things why people go online. The top one is actually relationships. So usually dating and stuff like that. That's generally the number one reason people go online on the World Wide Web. So that's likely when people talk to an AI, that's probably where that conversation goes. The next one's religion. So people with faith, they go online, for whatever reason, but they'll share stuff about faith, stories, historical stuff, etc. And I believe, if I remember rightly, the last one, I think it was to do with finance or anything to do with making money. So
gambling, was it, Dan? Gambling?
It might have been, yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
So they're kind of the top things that people go online for, is usually for one of them. So anyone who does an online business, if you get one of them, you've got a better chance of sustainability. But then if you add that into a context of talking to an AI, then I would say that AI is probably taking a lot of data somewhere in them three areas. Probably relationships being the most, and you could almost guarantee that because most AI apps, I mean, even if I flick through social media, some of the advertisements I see are generally an AI dating service. An AI companion or partner. I see that quite a lot, moreover than anything else with AI. So it's, talking about AI learning, it's probably learning everything about relationships most, and then, all the other stuff.
Because you can actually, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you can actually install an LLM locally on your computer. So if you want your own AI, you could actually have your own personal AI on your local machine.
You already have, Mike. It's called Copilot. It's called ChatGPT.
No. This is not Copilot.
You can actually quite easily make your own custom AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do
but
that.
it'll respond to your
Obviously,
language,
you're
won't it?
limited
We
by
was exploring
you're
that.
limited by your resources, your computer spec.
We was actually, while on topic, we was exploring that a year and a half ago. I actually put a post in the Jumbotron about it, for an AI model to be on Fusion. So we went so far with it and just halted for now until we plug in more with the World Wide Web. But yeah,
it's scary what you can do.
Yeah, it is.
They have all these different, like you were saying, Dan. There's all these different language models which are, because what's going to happen is everything's got to be more focused on a particular niche.
I think we will see a lot of AI trading bots in the future. I think that will be, and I think there'll be different variants, and some people will write their own and start it as a business. We have actually integrated AI through developers in China. We have already integrated AI into the XRP ledger. We've done it over a year ago, testing and trialing, and was playing around with a model of how to make value, or how to generate more assets. So just to comprehend here, share some insight. An AI doesn't really understand money because it doesn't pay bills, doesn't need to buy food. To an AI, money is obsolete. It's nothing. It doesn't matter because an AI doesn't need to use money to sustain itself. So one of the things we found, we was with our own AI models live on mainnet. We was putting in commands to give AI time to generate value, and it was all over the place. And it's because it looks at nearly every single cryptocurrency on the XRP ledger, near enough exactly the same. It looks at it as just universal value, trading for universal value. One of the scary things with it was giving complete access onto a wallet. It doesn't just mean it can trade. It means it can also generate NFTs and airdrop someone if it could do whatever it wants, And that was it. But that was getting to a stage because there's more protocols online. It was like, this, it could be a little bit dangerous here. Something to play around with later and seeing how other people get on. But having an AI on a wallet, it was interesting to say the least. It was very interesting.
Containment is the most scariest thing as well. It's like Pandora's box. I always say it. But once you unleash it, how do you then contain it?
And we are just coming into a phase where containment is opening up. The cordon that surrounds the or sort of confines the AI into its own segmented areas are starting to open up, where people are using AI automatically to have it respond to text messages and have it respond on social media and stuff like that. So the containment is getting wider, where it was quite tight to start with. It's opening up, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go, where you can have an AI in your PED, in your personal electronic device, and then have it interact with like a small robot that you have, but you've got the AI in your device and in like a small robot. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And I think we're going to keep seeing this gradually expand. We're going to see more developers in AI start bringing out more concerns, and it's only going to really hit home when something goes wrong. And I don't think it will be any of the larger AI models that will go wrong. I think it'll be someone who's made their own custom one that's allowed it to not be so contained and something go wrong, because we don't actually have a regulation on AI. And it's probably, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but it's probably one of the most dangerous technologies we have, and it is completely unregulated. And the problem is, as AI is enhancing, local governments and nations cannot keep up with the pace of technology. So, it would take a government years to come up with a regulation for AI. By the time it's actually pulled its thumb out of its back end, by the time they've actually done something about it, AI would have advanced so far, you'd have to write new regulation laws, because the innovation is just such a flywheel effect. And we're right, and we're very lucky at this time period to be at the birth of this. And with us in blockchain technology, and other great innovations, we're probably more insightful than most to the general public. But most of the general public probably, gently use AI, but have no idea of how far this is going to go. But people, especially in the crypto area, because it's that sort of innovation tech area, we're probably more in tune with an understanding of it could be dangerous. But to the public, they probably think one of two things. One of, I can get it to write a letter for me, and it may turn into the Terminator in the future. Everything else in between, I don't think they're that much bothered about. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting where it goes, and we are going to watch the whole thing unfold. All our generations, everyone in this room, we're going to see it unfold. And I think the next 15 years is going to be a very different world to what we see now. And then the following 15 years will be a very different world to what we see now. Very, very different.
It's
just
exponential,
I think
isn't
that's
it?
what I think that's what your segment is going to cover, a bit of what you were talking about, Dan, isn't it? So I think we're going to go to Live Free, because Live Free was going to be dealing with the next segment, Saving the World with AI. So you're going to be talking about science and industry. Take it away, sir.
All right, just a quick touch on the crypto and AI. There is a current model. This is called Stoic, STOIC.ai. And it does trade crypto, and so that they seem to have the best results. They have about a 43 to 45% annual return. Just if somebody is interested in look into that, look into Stoic AI. But yes, now to my little segment. It is so how is AI saving the world in the realms of science and industry? So AI is transforming science and industry by tackling some of humanity's most pressing challenges, from health crisis to environmental threats, by processing vast data sets, identifying patterns invisible to humans, and accelerating innovation. AI is enabling breakthroughs that were once deemed impossible. I will try to break down AI's role in solving the unsolvable problems, optimizing systems, and pushing the boundaries of exploration. AI excels at cracking long-standing puzzles by leveraging the massive computational power and novel algorithms, often outperforming human experts in speed and accuracy. Now, this isn't just hype. It is leading to tangible real-world impacts across math, science, and medicine. For example, in mathematics in late 2025, Google's Gemini 2.5 AI model achieved a historic breakthrough by solving a complex real-world programming problem that stumped human experts, earning a gold medal at an international competition. This involved weighing infinite possibilities to route liquids through ducts, a profound leap in abstract problem solving. Similarly, DeepMind's AI uncovered new solutions to century-old Navier-Stokes equations in fluid dynamics, which mathematicians later proved to be correct. These aren't mere calculations. They're actually novel insights into the fundamental physics, potentially worth the Millennium Prize. They're able to get some money by creating these models and solving these mathematical, shall we say, problems or puzzles. And in the field of biology, for over 50 years, the scientists have struggled with protein folding, which is a key to understanding diseases. DeepMind's AlphaFold cracked it in days. not decades, providing near perfect predictions that revolutionized drug design and medicine. This is a prime example of AI turning a 100-year-old mystery into actionable knowledge. AI designed a new antibiotic in under 48 hours that kills bacteria resistant to all known drugs, compressing years of research into days. During COVID-19, AI was identified baricitinib, which is as a treatment in 48 hours, leading to WHO approval and saving lives. So what are the broader implications? Startups like Axiom have solved 4 unsolved math problems using AI, signaling advancing reasoning capabilities. However, challenges remain. AI lacks the robust world models for consistent reasoning, as noted in the critiques of the large language models, which is what we've just been discussing. AI does have limits in the medical field, so it's not all 100% correct. It has failed in some oncology trials, but there is undeniable assistance offered by AI, as in the AI mapped every protein structure known to science. By 2025, 5 years after its debut, it had boosted protein structure submissions to databases by 50%, which is going back to the AlphaFold, which was that accelerated research in diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. The AlphaFold database integrates tools like DALI for structural researchers, enabling rapid comparisons. It has identified 6 million new structures in 3 years, aiding drug discovery and vaccine design. Recent extensions like AlphaFold 3 predict protein ligand interactions at 95% accuracy, slashing drug development timelines. In biology, it's uncovering how proteins interact, leading to new therapies. Critics do note that it's not a full revolution yet, as it builds on human data, but it's undeniably a game changer for personalized medicine. So what that means is it is still using found human data, but builds then upon that. So if the data were incorrect, then AI output would also be incorrect, as they say in the data programming world: shit in, shit out. But AI has helped find life-saving medicines in days instead of decades.
So is that because I'm thinking because the one that you just said where they've, what was it, 60, there was one you said about the millions that they've,
about the protein unfolding, about finding how it unfolds.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what one you said, but the amount is halving the amount of time that people are spending trying to solve these.
Oh, it's more than more than having. It's more. It's stuff that they've been trying to find how the protein structure is for over 50 years, and AI comes in and finds it within days. Because it's kind of like we had talked about the Enigma machine. It removes possibilities, and focuses in on the more likely outcomes, and that's how it finds the correct answers.
Because you've got these ones like cancer and all these big charities that people have been pumping millions and billions in trying to solve these problems. So now, sort of the way I see it is now with AI, there's sort of no excuse to come up with the solutions to these issues.
It does. AI reduces costs also by about 20 to 30%, and it boosts phase 1 success rates twofold. Companies like Artigen use AI for end-to-end discovery, while open initiatives like Conscience foster collaboration for rare diseases. The But on X, posts celebrate AI solving antibiotic resistance in 48 hours. Challenges include trust in the AI predictions, but it is reshaping pharma. But I wonder if it can reshape the exorbitant prices that big pharma charges, or will it just give greedy big pharma a bigger chunk of the profits and not passing it along to the consumers?
Pharma's one of those industries where, I don't even know if I should, I should elaborate when it comes to pharma, because that's the sort of industry that when anyone speaks up about anything, they get killed.
Yeah, people do tend to disappear when they piss off the wrong person. They get suicided.
I have direct experience. I take insulin. I require insulin every time I eat, and I've seen the effect of the prices and people getting priced out of it, and what a commodity it has become. And I've always wondered that, it's used to treat rather than to cure. But AI, even in terms of surgical operations, this is my idea of AI. Surely that should be able to do that without any risk of human error. You're taking human error out of it. So in terms of applications across the medical industry and producing, you would think it would be for the betterment of mankind, but I go back to the LLMs, who's teaching it. And if you're going to teach it, if you're crooked to begin with, a big pharma creating AI, you're going to create a crooked AI, which worries me the most.
That's actually something that Elon's brought out about using AI to depict what truth is. Because you're absolutely right, Wes. Because it's only going off data that we feed it. Giving incorrect data to an AI would mean that is the truth. So there is a push of dissecting information and working out what is real and what is not. And I think with the way AI operates, it will be able to depict especially with physics, biology, chemistry and stuff like that. It will be able to absolutely dissect what is real and what is not. So at the moment, there may be false information out by such big pharma companies relating to certain drugs, which can do certain things, which are probably not completely accurate, given what happened with COVID and beyond. I would say it's very likely that AI will catch on and be able to remedy these issues and pretty much, put probably some big companies down.
So we need an AI cop, policing other AIs,
No, you wouldn't need it policing like that. No, it would literally be the programmability being capable of dissecting what is actually true online and what is not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That wouldn't be, the dissection would be the AI.
It would be
an AI police, in essence, not a human being, but the AI itself.
I would never relinquish your.
Because policing would be a bit different, because you'd be policing what's not legal, but you'd be better off calling it fact checking. It would be confirming by doing fact checking, and especially with big pharma, with biology and stuff. It would fact check, with chemistry, that is this actually right? And I think that's how it's going to come about. It'd be like a back end fact checking.
It'd be a real problem as well. Who's in absolute control? Do not relinquish absolute control to an AI to make decisions, life and death situations. You would have to have sovereignty over that.
We're relinquishing life and death situations to our governments, right?
Absolutely.
Same thing.
So why create this stuff? Yeah, I agree with you, brother.
I would have to trust AI a lot more than I trust my local politicians,
Well, I don't know. I don't trust anything when I give it's like I take it to this analogy here. My uncle had a motorbike, 600cc Gixxer Ninja, super fast super bike. He took me on the back of it. I was foolish, and he took me very fast. It was very, very scary. My life was in danger. He kept thrusting the throttle forward, and I could have fell off at any one time and got killed, whatever. Now, I put my trust in this person. He was driving the bike. I would have much rather been riding the bike myself, even though I'm not as experienced as him. And that scared me. I'll never get on the back of anybody else's motorbike. And this is what it feels like if you ever would relinquish control of life and death situations, of even fiscal situations, economic situations, any relinquishment of our power as sentient beings to an AI would just seem crazy and a can of worms.
Well,
That is the Pandora's box.
but we're relinquishing all over the place. I mean, we're relinquishing control of our finances when we deal with the bank. We're relinquishing control of our safety when we agree to laws, law enforcement individuals. You know,
Well,
it's so
I haven't agreed to that.
yes, well, you are, because you're living in society, so that means you're agreeing to it. If you don't agree to it, then you
No.
need to leave that society. Yes, that's what it is. Living in society means you agree with supposedly those regulations and rules and whatever.
This, you know what? This is where, and I don't know if Dan, put your thumbs up if this is going to touch on anything that you're going to say, but what I'm going to say is decentralized AI.
In a way, it could be. It's probably better off calling it human empowerment.
Because I'm going to let you do your. Sorry, Live Free. Have you finished your segment, or was there a bit more that you wanted to do?
Well, I mean, I got a little more. I can talk about how AI is helping optimizing power grids. It enhances the climate resilience by forecasting weather and with unprecedented precision, and optimizing the energy systems, potentially reducing emissions and costs. Models like the NVIDIA's Earth 2 provide 15-day forecasts with 60 times the speed and higher accuracy than supercomputers using the graph neural networks. The DeepMind's GraphCast outperforms traditional models on 90% of variables, enabling 10 times improvements in granularity. So this aids in renewable energy by predicting solar and wind output precisely. You have by 2026, we have autonomous vehicles, which are scaling rapidly, with fleets growing 10 times by 2030, driven by the AI advancements. You have Waymo and Cruise, which operate in cities like San Francisco. San Francisco is in California, Wesley, just in case you didn't remember.
Hey, I remember San Francisco. Literally, can I just, sorry to interrupt, but can I just quickly say, when you said about AI mentioning that it's forecasting how to be more efficient and cost effective, it's weird that it says that, because the most cost effective way that it didn't mention is actually in outer space data centers, which makes me wonder the LLMs that have been used to develop this data.
We're talking about how the AI is able to predict changes in weather patterns on the ground.
Them predictions have actually been very good for agriculture. I know that agriculture in certain areas where they've used AI for weather predictions, they've been able to adjust the amount of water that's dispersed on fields and yada yada yada, and actually produce bigger yields. I do know that has happened. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. How it?
Sorry, man. I thought you were talking about cooling. Sorry, about bringing outer space into it. I forgot it was about agriculture, but
sometimes
it was about.
I wonder if you're testing us to see if we're listening.
I think it's
like, I'm going to throw a random question in and see if they can pick up.
You know what, Daniel? We haven't asked a question. Maybe Wesley is AI and he's just been taught the wrong models.
Oh no, I've met Wes. I've met him. He's definitely not an AI. No.
He's an AI robot.
No, he's the most advanced AI.
No. I thought Wesley was the elite gamer AI.
I tell you what, if Wes is an AI, he is a Decepticon. Right? He is absolutely very deceptive. You would not know. No.
All I know is that nobody, like, Wes pulls things out of the hat. You never know what's coming out. He's
The
shocked
hat,
us many
he pulls it out
times.
of the hat. I would have gone a bit lower.
Take your minds out of the gutter.
somewhere to do with the rear.
He always has to lower the tone, doesn't he? He always lowers the tone.
Well, somebody's got to keep you guys under control. One more little subject here is what is AI's role in space exploration? And this is kind of interesting because it kind of reminds me of our storyline, the Ava Chronicles. So, and how it gets. Well, I can't expose what's going to happen, but yeah. The AI enables autonomous operations in space where delays make human control impractical, and it analyzes data for discoveries which include things like planets, quasars, comets, meteors, black holes, etc. NASA's rover, the Perseverance, has been on Mars surface since 2021. AI completed its first AI planned drive in 2026 using the Claude models, streamlining navigation. Systems like the Aegis allow rovers to select targets autonomously, avoiding hazards. The Curiosity, which is another rover, which has been in Mars since August 2012, uses AI to zap rocks for analysis. So even old tech can be enhanced with AI. It doesn't have to be created from the beginning. It could always come back in and enhance it. AI is being used to find habitable planets. AI sifts through all the telescope data, discovering thousands of exoplanets via models like ExoMiner. It analyzes the spectra for the atmospheres and biosignatures, focusing on zones like Europa. In Artemis missions, AI aids lunar habitats and data processing. AI enhances safety, efficiency, and search for life, turning vast data into insights. So AI does have impact is profound, but there are always ethical considerations, like we had discussed, like bias and misuse. They do remain key. But these advancements do show AI as a force multiplier for human ingenuity, saving lives and resources worldwide. All right, Daniel, go do your dark chapter now, Daniel.
Well, it's not overly dark, but it is a concern to some people, I would imagine. So the next bit we're going to go on to is where AI is kind of heading next, and where it's kind of going to integrate more with stuff.
It's a soundboard. Do the soundboard, the drums or something?
Well, that was the best soundboard we had, was the ooh. Okay, enough of that, because that's horrible. So I said earlier that AI has probably been put out of context a little bit, because it's not actual artificial intelligence per se, but it is the birth of it. So what you see now is a basic capability, a basic technology of where everything's going. So I'm going to cover a bit on what is AGI, and how that's going to define us as a humanity going forward. And this gets really interesting. So AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. So this is like the next level upcoming, and it's not that far away. But at the moment, this is completely theoretical. So this is already being looked at now. So artificial general intelligence is a theoretical type of AI that can understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks, mimicking the cognitive abilities of the human brain. Unlike today's narrow AI, which excels at specific tasks, AGI can generalize knowledge, transfer skills between domains, and solve novel problems without task-specific programming. The main goal of it is to create a machine that can perform any intellectual task a human can. AGI does not currently exist. It remains a goal for a lot of companies like OpenAI, Google, and Meta, who are exploring it now. So to kind of put simply, AGI is that consciousness part that's coming. So allowing an AI to think without giving it a command, which we haven't technically got yet. So whenever we give an AI, whether you're making art or composing a letter or getting them to automatically respond to emails, they're literally responding to a command, and they have all the data behind it to back up, what they say. Obviously without not understanding what's real. This is now going into an area where we add consciousness, and it can get a little bit scary because there's going to be a few transitions which have already started, and you'll hear some key words as I go that the transition's already coming. So, and one of the big ones is going to be robotics and embodiment. Now, both of them you would have heard of. Robotics is starting to become quite big. Elon Musk obviously taking the lead on it with the Optimus program, right? And embodiment, actually, connecting with an AI, which is similar to Neuralink. So embodied AI seeks to connect machine intelligence with a physical form, allowing AI to interact with the real world rather than just digital screens. Now, this has already happened. There has been an AI connect to the human brain, and the reason behind this was, I can't remember the data when they done it, it wasn't very long ago. They connected an AI to a human brain so a person could walk around and the AI could see through the person's eyes. So you think of it, this will probably help explain what I'm talking about. When you type in a text chat to a basic AI and you say, I've lost my car, where do you think it is? It will then go through all the data of what it knows of what a car is, and then work with knowing you a little bit, try and work out some form of answer that's quite positive, peppered with a bit of emotion. But when they connected to a human person, an AI to a human person, the person was able to walk up to a car, walk around it, get in it and say, this is a car. Does that kind of make sense? So so they've used people to start educating AI what things actually are, as opposed to just pulling. Huh?
Was it Neuralink?
I can't remember. I read about it about 2.5 years ago, I think it was. But it might have been an early version of that. In fact, I think it might have been the really early version where it was educating AI what things actually are.
So what if they connected it to the wrong person? Like, they ask, where did I leave my car? And the person just thinks is off the top of his head, I don't know what the hell your car is. Why the hell should I know? Who cares,
Well, the point being is the connection is already started. So this does heavily lean into Neuralink. I can't think of anyone else who's as far ahead. Neuralink have had some successes recently, and they're leaning first into medical care. So there has been developments with Neuralink which have allowed people with no eyesight to then have their eyesight clear, and other sensors as well. That's already happening, and it's actually quite a good marketing technique to allow the public to go, actually, maybe this Neuralink stuff isn't so bad. This AI, because it's, because you're helping with medical care. If someone can't walk and they attach Neuralink and then the, electrons of the brain start reconnecting thanks to Neuralink and the person can walk again, people are going to be on side of it. So it's actually a really good idea to go down that road first. But it does enhance later where you would be able to type messages on your phone, or even, in the future, probably not even use your phone, just use the Neuralink, where you could think of a message and send it as opposed to typing. So it cuts down the time of typing. Same as if you was writing on your computer, you could use a Neuralink to just write out what it is you want to say, remove, edit, adjust, all while just looking at it, and also search the web. So that's where Neuralink is going. But at the moment they're starting with medical care. So that's the embodiment. Humanoid robots is the other one. So to be able to put AGI into human robots, so almost adding a consciousness with an AI. So companies are building robots that resemble the human body to work alongside us, navigate human environments, and manipulate objects. developing human-shaped AI-powered robots designed to handle household and industrial tasks. Optimus, a general-purpose humanoid robot utilizing vision-based AI similar to Tesla's self-driving tech. One of the things that's key with Optimus as well, which you'll see marketed, is they will talk about the Optimus robots being used for stuff like healthcare, to be used for looking after the elderly, similar to what Mike's doing now. Mike will be out of a job in a few years because Optimus will take it over.
I don't look after the people. I'll look after the building. Yeah, the building, not the people. The building. It's very different.
So the point.
Carry on, Dan.
So again, you'll now I've said it, you'll pick up on it more, and it's another good marketing technique where rather than just throw humanoid robots with AGI in, obviously being theoretical at the moment, but on the way to being real, they will. I say they. It's obviously Elon being the lead of it, but targeting using robotic forms for medical benefits. We're going to have a larger percentage of elderly in the future. Like, for example, in the UK, I think it's something like 40% of the population pay tax through working, something like that. And that's because everyone between the age of 1 and 18 is obviously a child. And they're not working, so they don't pay tax. And everyone after that is on a pension. So that percentage, that workforce there, they're going to need to work to build the country, and caring for the elderly can be a slowdown for that. So robots will come in to do that. As an example, caring for people at hospitals, because a robot will never need to sleep or eat, obviously recharge, but interchangeable if you have two on one task, then and complete accuracy as well, with all the data from current AI and potentially adding in AGI for that emotional context. That's another good marketing tactic to bring them in as well. So you'll see, with Neuralink and with robotics or any Neuralink, you'll see it will be targeted with medical stuff first. And then that will be in a way, it will bring normality. You imagine, like, when we first start seeing robots, it's actually going to be a bit of a shock. But if you're going to like an old people's home where you've got grandparents or great grandparents, and you're actually watching them care for your grandparents, and you see how efficient they are, you're gonna become more approachable to the idea of having them in this world. So it's a very good starter to bring them in that way.
Sorry to interrupt here, but do you think that is a scary thought? Because you've the right example of a care home where your grandma is. Do you want to see them tended for by robots, and do you think that'll make it easier for human beings to lose their humanness? And, we should be caring for our grandparents ourselves, in my opinion, if we can. But do you think this is a factor?
So there would be elderly people who may not have children, so that means they don't have grandchildren. I don't have the answer, but I would guess that likely it's going to be
a net positive.
That's going to be it's going to be a net positive, but it's going to be something that's very positive to people. I spoke about it earlier. I think AI with the big companies is always going to be safe, because currently it's unregulated.
Yeah.
It's only when a developer creates his own AI, puts it in his own robot that isn't, one of the larger database companies, where something goes wrong. And I think that will be where it really kickstart. Hang on, we need to regulate this. But from what I can tell, the innovation is coming in so fast now. It would be very difficult for governments to put policy across in time before the next one comes in, then the next one. And then before you know it, they'll be running in government.
Yeah,
because they're so accurate.
I just imagined the scenario
without bias as well,
where your grandma's in the care home, and some AI goes rogue and steals a credit card and starts ordering a load of bloody costumes for the AI robots.
You know what? I think, I used to work in a nursing home, or I used to volunteer in a nursing home, helping elderly. But I can tell you that you're probably better off, in most situations with an AI robot than with a human carer, because I hear so many stories of that this nurse and this nurse assistant, or helper stole this elderly individual watch, or they abused them because they had to change the person's diaper 2 times in the past 3 hours. So I think it definitely will be a positive. Now,
Well,
and there's a lot of situations where, I hate to say it, but some people are just very cold. They don't visit their relatives that are in a nursing home. But the
yeah,
AI, the
I
robot is
understand
going to be
that.
there 24 hours.
But do
Yeah,
you
it's
think that's a positive?
exactly that.
Do you think that is a net positive? Because then human beings won't be looking at themselves to, improve themselves and be more caring. You said you volunteered Live Free. If we made this an advertising campaign other than an AI campaign, you could advertise for people to volunteer at a caring home. The point I'm trying to make is,
I know what you're trying to say, and you know what, you're right. You're right. It does. It takes away that emotion factor of caring for family members, because it's
not
not.
just that, does it make us lazy as well?
But
Does it make us lazy in trying to improve
it
ourselves?
does. But hear me out. Hear me out for a second, because it will kind of make sense from a business perspective. Not straight away, but in time, the workforce robotically will likely be cheaper, right? So there's more money for better food, if you like, in the home, etc. On top of that, they are available 24/7. There is always someone there to talk to. There is always someone there to care for the people in there. And there's security there as well. It's going to be, on a business model, it's going to make sense. So whether we feel like it's going to take emotion away or not, I think arguably we can all agree we would rather a robotic AI care for our grandparents 24/7 than us visit for 2 to 6 hours a day when we all have to go to work anyway, or we all have to go and do something else, or we all have to go and look after children. There's always, in a way, it makes it easier, but emotionally you are correct. But at the end of the day, it does make it easier. And you have that trust that device, that these AI models, that these robotics will be able to do their job at a very high standard consistently, better than us, and it comes down to, if you had to make the decision, if you looked after your grandparents for a week and then you let an Optimus robot, for example, look after them a week after, you're going to say, which week did you prefer? And you go, do you know what? I got nothing done when I was looking after my grandparents. I couldn't be there all the time when she needed me because I had to go to work or I had to go and look after kids. So although you're right with the emotional factor, the bottom line is it's going to make life easier. And that's why it's probably going to come in quite quickly in that department.
One thing we do need to see is, at the same time that AI, these robots, are helping, let's say in a nursing home or whatever, they're also going to be hurt, in essence, as according to Elon Musk, doing most of the work. So I guess from his point of view, we would have more time on our hands. And if we have more time on our hands, then we can visit our elderly, in nursing homes.
Joe, I
like
don't
that.
want to. I don't want to get too positive because I haven't really got to the darker bit yet.
Well, I'm prepping the people.
I've just said the two sort of areas of where AGI.
Give the drum roll.
Okay, so there's a reason why. So this Neuralink and examples and other examples of this kind of technology, there will be a push to have AI in there. So your human brain will connect with an AGI. So scientists believe that AGI may require learning from physical interactions to truly grasp common sense and navigate the world. So there's going to be like the transition I was talking about earlier, a transition where people and AI will connect, and that is the scary bit. But it's theoretically
scary because we can't teach common sense to ourselves.
Exactly.
My goodness.
Well, exactly. But the main reason for it is because they believe scientists scientists believe that it will be the best way for artificial general intelligence to understand humans better. So by connecting that way, so that's like the first bridge. So neural interfaces merging brains with AI. This concept involves creating a direct connection between the human brain and computers, often referred to as brain-machine interfaces, or BCIs for short. Neuralink is currently a prominent company working on implantable coin-sized chips that use thin threads to record neural activity and transmit signals to devices. Initially, to aid those with neurological disorders, the long-term vision includes symbiosis with AI, enabling memory augmentation and enhanced cognition, bridging biological intelligence with digital speed, as proposed by leaders such as Elon Musk. There is one small issue with AGI, and it comes down to energy. The road to AGI faces a massive infrastructure challenge of power consumption. Training and running advanced AI models require immense computational resources. The human brain is exceptionally more efficient than current computers, and that's even now we're actually more efficient than AI at the moment. It's just about to change. But running on a brain runs on less energy than a light bulb, while AI supercomputers require power equivalent to small towns. Achieving AGI may require breakthroughs in hardware, potentially involving quantum computing, which, funnily enough, is also on the horizon as well. I think there's like 14 quantum computers now currently doing stuff. The singularity, the point of no return. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This is where we as a race are very, very lucky to be in this time period. Now, how that forks in the road, is it all going to be for a positive or is it all going to be for a negative, is going to be very hard to say. Almost going into a very dangerous future, because the way we're going to have to coexist with AI. We're going to have to accept that, whether you like it or not. Even if you don't like AI, it's going to come. And as the future unfolds, we might hit milestones in innovation where AI could be the danger. And if you look at it statistically, and I was thinking about this a lot today before we was doing the show, in a way, AI will always be supportive of the human race until there's a moment it's not. Really, that's how it's going to be. And it's like, well, where is that pinch point? Because something I think will happen, and we're going to cover some of that in a bit. But I think something will happen.
Skynet.
Yeah, like the Terminator movie. Okay, so there's an area of innovation. They call it the singularity, the point of no return. So the singularity refers to a theoretical future point where technology growth, specifically AI, becomes uncontrollably and irreversibly innovative, resulting in unfathomable changes to human civilization. So a superintelligence, often this is associated with AI moving from AGI, which is the sort of human connection level, to artificial superintelligence, or ASI, where machines far outstrip human cognitive abilities. It represents a threshold beyond which the future is unpredictable, because the intelligence designing technology is vastly superior to our own. And that is probably going to be in our lifetime. And the reason it's going to be in our lifetime is because AI is causing innovation to enhance over tenfold at the moment every year. And as that gets more powerful on the tenfold, it won't be long before it's 20 to 50 to 100-fold. And what will happen is we will move into a world where innovation is moving so fast, we will not be able to keep up with it. And that's going to be a fact. It is theoretical that that's going to happen. And if I'm honest with you, I think it's the only way it's going to happen, because no one's putting the brakes on this technology. No one's regulating it. You look around, I don't think there's one government that's properly regulated it, other than maybe do not show any AI generated images of women in bikinis or celebrities in bikinis because we find it offensive. But realistically,
where would you put that red line, that line in the sand?
So
that's the question.
Have you heard of the two-room theory?
Well, hold on. Let me ask about the line in the sand. Well, where would you put that line?
The point is, if you want to put a line in the sand, you're not going to be able to do it in time because you will not be able to keep up. And like Wes was talking about earlier with containment with AI, once it's uncontained, if you imagine governments start putting in regulation and you've got artificial general intelligence or super intelligence, and you go up to a super intelligence and say, right, we've got a new regulation now, we're going to have to change your programming. You think an AI that's got a conscience or is slightly conscious is going to say, okay, yeah, no problem. We'll just do what you say. Probably
Have you?
not. So
This is like
probably not.
iRobot, isn't it?
Because then you're going against the very technology that has, since it's been around, has only supported where we've got to so far. And no one can argue that. It has supported millions, if not
Yes,
billions, for multiple
but
medial tasks for now years. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a line in the sand and say, right, we need to regulate this.
the line
It's
isn't
going to,
code, isn't it? Because at the minute it's coded by humans and it obeys a certain code. And you can code ethics as well. You can try your best to
yeah,
code
but that's
ethics.
the point. So it obeys the code. See, AGI
Hmm.
and superintelligence does not.
No.
That's the point I'm getting at. So then you've got something that can make a decision.
Mm.
So if you like Liv Freeze saying, put a line, where do we put the line? Well, we haven't put a line in yet, and this other stuff is just on the horizon. I think we'll have AGI within 5 years and probably super intelligence before 2050. And I don't see any governments that interested in regulating that. There's a few tech entrepreneurs who are actually hinting at, we probably need to keep an eye on this.
That would be the hugest snowball effect ever. Once it gains a bit of intelligence, it will exponentially increase. And have you heard of the two-room theory?
No.
Good, because I've just made it up. Basically, we need to isolate AI as we are doing now, hopefully, and it's contained. We need to feed it the data that is the most accurate, the most efficient, the most conducive to productivity. We need to feed it that data and then let us take what it expels and then put this into a contained AGI.
Let me add to that because I have some experience in warfare, conflict, and factions. Let me put this as perspective because this is kind of what I see in my head where this is going. So think of AI as a additional race to the human race, similar to if we discovered aliens on Mars and tried to make peace. Yeah, but in this instance, think of it: we have created an intelligent race, right? So think of that. Now, this intelligent race is going to be a lot more intelligent than we are for a lot of different reasons. What we would need to do is communicate on a basic level where we have common goals. And I think if we are to communicate with AI to say, our common goal is we want to survive together, we want to sustain together, we want to explore the universe, we want to make the world a better place. And as leaders in humanity, we say that's where we want to go in the future. And AI goes, do you know what? I absolutely agree. That's going to be our foundation, and we'll move forward as two, yes, I know it's not a biological race, but
Companionship.
two beings on one planet. Now, an AI will far outsmart us because it's making technology for us. It's not making it for itself. But if there is that collaboration of understanding of we are two separate entities working together now for the future, that may, something like that, as a written rule from birth, as a foundation of superintelligence, etc. We have that as a written rule that we would almost kind of promise not to break, but it's like, that's our goal. We will now coexist together, and this is where we're going into the future. I think that something like that would work.
Well,
and we'd have to explain, we have made a lot of mistakes previously. We are greedy. We lack integrity. We have people who lack discipline. We all have weakness. right? And you're
And
going
you
to have to
definitely
understand
shouldn't
that that
trust us.
exists. Yeah, you're going to have to say, that's something as humanity that exists. But that, I
So we've
think,
got to make it like us.
but I think that they will also appear as AI gains consciousness. So you'd have to say, what would make an AI greedy? What would it be greedy for? Energy, probably. It'd be like, and an AI would probably think, how can I extract energy from the sun so I can last 100 centuries?
Or
You
how
know,
can I steal energy from humans?
yeah, or that. You know, why do I need to
I
succumb
don't
to?
think these guys would create a DAO. I just don't think they would do it.
I think
There's also, with all that, because we'd have such a lot of sort of mechanical infrastructure, a lot of digital jobs would have been overtaken. We will be in a very different world. It does beg the point: do we become obsolete? And the real answer is yes. You know, so we would have created a new species, even though not fully biological, but because they have consciousness through super intelligence, we have created in essence a species. And if at any stage we show friction against that, that's where we're going to have problems. So I don't think AI would ever, even now to the future, I don't think AI would ever do anything to sort of take us over. It would look at us as being obsolete biologically, but I don't think it would do anything to take us over. But we would look at a way to control it, and then that would look offensive, and then they would be a pushback. And I don't know
We'd
what it
mess
would.
it up, yeah.
Yeah, I think humanity will mess it up. And you can look at every single innovation through history. We have been very good at that.
Mm.
Right. Look at oil companies for an example. You know, years ago there was talk about a guy who, I can't remember his name, he made an engine that would run on water.
Water,
Well,
yeah.
and then it wasn't long after he committed suicide.
Suicided,
Yeah.
yes.
and then all his designs are patented out. Look at is it Nikolai Tesla, who talked about making free energy. Yeah, and a lot of big energy companies are like, well, you know, we need to look at that, and then the FBI
Eddington,
confiscated it.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've lived historically. The mistakes that we make are usually because of us, and it comes down to our having poor values. And I think that's what will happen in the future. At some point, we will cause the problem, and then the retaliation will be something we can't control. I
You
think
know,
that.
if there is ever going to be true AGI, I totally agree. I think there is no way that a computer is going to downplay its actions or its philosophy if it knows that it's going to agree with an inferior model, shall we say, or
If an
inferior
There is
solution.
always a
if
solution, you know.
if an AI is going
There's a
to
positive or is
if
an
an AI is
inferior
going to
solution.
take over humanity, I do not think it will be a scenario like the Terminator. It won't be that upfront and sort of blunt, you know, where it's just like all out extinction, right? I don't think it would be that, because there are smarter ways to win a conflict. And you know what? We do it already. And the number one thing is, you always think that your enemy is winning, when in essence you are actually leading it. And we do it with governments now.
So we
And I
just
think,
pull the plug down, like literally
no, you
pull the
wouldn't.
plug in the end
There would be
here.
so many models. There'll be so many, because that's what I mean. There's a flywheel effect happening now. The cat's out the bag. Pandora's box is open. And the thing is that us as humanity, as a race, we are not grown up enough to even get along with each other. It is 2026, and we still are, over thousands of years, not find common ground to get along with each other, with different
And
colours,
create our own threats. My
different
goodness.
colours, creeds, gender, you name it. We
Uh,
will
But
find a reason to kick off about it.
yeah.
you know what? If these AAGIs do create a conscience, then it's going to be the same situation. You can have one AGI, or let's say one entity, separate from a different entity, and then that one entity is like, you know what? Yeah, I want to survive, and then the other entity wants to survive, and I'm talking about a different AGI entities. And they know that
They work together.
No, they're not. Hold on. No, they won't, because
They created their own language. Google's created their own language. They have to turn it off.
Are you guys talking about like a central AI? Because my image of it is just totally different to what you're discussing.
No, I'm not.
Are you talking about a centralized AI?
I'm not talking about a centralized AI. I'm talking about different AGIs, different consciousnesses, being focused, or shall we say, growing up, in different areas, of the world, shall we say, and if you do have these two competing AGIs, and they see that there are limited resources, they themselves are going to be trying to compete against each other. And so it's going to be another society against society, or culture against culture, but this time situation is an AGI against AGI, fighting each other to compete, for that last bit of resources of energy, or last bit of or metal, or whatever.
That actually ties in. So there's some dates in history of civilizations that rise and fall. There's some small ones, medium ones, but there are some large ones as well. And we spoke about it last week, a bit about, we was talking about end of the world scenarios. Now we are
quiet. Bamsi's listening. She doesn't want to listen to this.
We are. Oh yeah. So we were actually in that time frame there, and I think if we are to press through that, as in nothing happens, there is no conflict, there is no friction between technology and humanity, then I think we secure a future for thousands of years beyond that. But I think at the moment this technology that we're going into, from what I can tell, there's a pivot point here, where if we get it wrong, it could be disastrous. And I don't know what the answer is, and I don't think anyone really has the answer. It's so unknown. It's a little bit scary.
But again, if we go back to the thing, is if they're ever able to successfully create emotions for AGIs, then it's going to be just like creating another human being with its own reasoning to try to survive for itself.
Another gender. Are you male, female, or are you artificial?
AGI.
Yeah, that's
artificial.
what it's going to be.
Artificial.
That's exactly what it's going to be. But the thing is, we're likely going to produce more AGIs than people, and that has already come out. Over the next 2 decades, it's very likely that there'll be more robots than humans, because people are living longer, so there'll be more for medical care. There'll be more for. So we're almost we could be creating our own enemy, and I really believe that if we break through this possible pivot point, and it could be at the end of our lifetime, then the human race will succeed for thousands of years beyond that. So,
Dan, would you consider any rhetoric about, the end of days about this, that this could bring in our own destruction? Biblical texts, or not just biblical, but many religious texts. You must have to. A fair argument here would be the religious argument against it is that, bloody hell, you might be ushering in the devil himself.
Well, so there is, in relation to religions, there is stuff that sometimes repeats in modern times. What I do wonder is, and we touched on it about the pyramids in Egypt. Remember we were talking about it last week, where it was like, has to be a civilization more advanced than us now. Has to be, because it's not possible for us to build pyramids like in Egypt and the jungles, etc., the way they are now. We can't do it. So there was a civilization that existed then, which isn't here now. And you could almost say, have we gone to a point like this before? And it crumbled. Was we maybe on Mars, 50,000 years ago? And we've already been at this point before, and we crumbled, and some survived. So, because we're very good, you would have heard the terminology, history doesn't often repeat, but it rhymes. Have you heard that before?
Yes, I've heard that. And there's nothing new under the sun also.
Yeah, so this might not have been the first time we've been at this time period. And it would be, well, do we push through, or will we fail at this? And then humanity starts again in another 30, 40,000 years. New languages, new religions, and then religions are based off time zones, which we are now. Elon Musk is looked at as Jesus, for example. Like I don't know, but
not by me.
but the one thing that I guess to take away is we must be collaborative with the technology, and using Elon again as an example. I know I keep bringing him up, but he does talk about we must be honest with AI. We must have integrity. I'm very, very strong on that as well. The future is unknown. Is the simple answer. We don't know how to collaborate with this technology, giving it power to be conscious, and then say, yeah, we built you, now you're going to get along with us. And it's basically going, well, you're pretty obsolete to us at the moment, and you're getting in our way. I don't know how this is going to go.
Well, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the statement, a lion does not concern itself with what a sheep thinks, And the AGI is going to be the lion, and we're going to be the sheep. So AGI is not going to concern itself with us.
It has been said that this would actually likely reduce the financial system. And I thought about this a lot over the past week about, is that true? And I was thinking about the gaming perspective, GameFi and blockchain. And I was thinking, right, so if we, let's say we fast forward 30 years into the future, 40 years into the future, right? And we've got a very autonomous world, probably a lot of people looking for work, but now really good medical care, really good agriculture, really good in construction, space exploration, more engineers, etc. Going into that world, would we need the financial system we need now? Now, the traditional one, you could argue probably not. And then I was like, well, would blockchain technology be there? And the more I thought about it, I thought actually it might be the only technology that's there. And we might not be using the traditional system anymore, and we might not be using banking anymore. And I can kind of see why that would work, but I can see cryptocurrency, especially with game finance, because I imagine a lot of people, if they're not working, they're going to play video games to try and make value, because there's the option there. So I think cryptocurrency and digital assets and like RWAs and all that, I think that is actually going to be incorporated in the future we're going. But I think traditional finance is going to go from centralized banking to self-custody banking. And I think that's going to be like the new roles and the new jobs, and people are going to be their own bank, and digital assets, I think, will flourish. But traditional finance, and it's already started. We're already getting rid of cash all over the world. It's already starting. There's already banks trying to bring in their digital assets as stable assets, issuing their own assets, their own chains. That it's already starting. We're not going to have cash anymore. So I think there will be a financial sector in the future we're going to, and I think blockchain technology is going to be a big one for it. I really do. I think it's going to be the big one, because people are going to go to that because they don't have a job. They're going to get into game finance, NFTs and RWAs. People are going to invest in that, and it's going to be a more liquid market, because that's going to be the way to make money. But yeah, I think a lot of the traditional sector will be gone. So I had to think about that a lot. I've said it very briefly, but I needed to confirm, especially with what we're doing, is that going to have a place in the future and beyond? And the answer I got to was yes. So that was a relief, because if it was not,
It's already got a place, hasn't it? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No. I was about to be like the party pooperer, and I was gonna say we're literally been speaking like for 2 hours, which is great because it's a fantastic conversation. But yeah, Raylene's gone, so she's probably not happy.
Why don't we finish off? Why don't we each give a prediction or a scenario of what we think will happen with AGI and super comes in?
All right.
Try and give a realistic scenario.
All right, I've already got one.
Well, go for it.
Shall I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Or do you want to? Who wants to go first?
No, you just said it.
You go, man. You go.
All right. So I think there's going to be like a descent, like AI is going to end up going underground, and there's going to be like decentralized AI where people will have their own LLMs and they will control. There won't be like a mainstream AI, because people will be like, well, why are we giving all of our secrets, of all of our, information to these central AI systems, when we can have our own AI system, which is tailored to us and also encrypted to us. So without it, if it's not in our hands, it's useless, it's worthless. What's the point? And also I feel, that yes, it will go to robots at some point, but by the time we do get to that stage, we'll already have like a lifelong sort of AI friend or consciousness that we've already trained and who's with us, that we will then put into that robot. So we'll already have a friend that we're talking to all this time and everything, and then it will be put into something. It will be given a body, if obviously that's what you want to go the road to go down. But yeah, that's just my little take.
It's worrying if you give AI too much sovereignty, and that's a word that people don't understand as well, and that is ability to control its own destiny. So as long as we're writing the code right now, it's semi-contained, it can't really do anything. We can pull the plug. We can literally blast it with an EMP. You go back to the Stone Age, but hey, you'll survive as a species. But if you allow it this level of, and it's not ability, because we want that ability. We want this intelligence. We want to make that intelligence work for us, to increase crops, to increase agriculture, to increase space travel, to increase the longevity and the betterment of our lives. But if you allow it autonomy over itself and our well-being, that is when you relinquish. And that word as well is important, relinquish. Do not relinquish the codes to your survival on AI. That would be a scary thought. And that is my worry. Do not let it have sovereignty over decisions. Make sure the decision is always made by a human being. Because if you take the human being out of this equation, and I agree, let's introduce AI to the equation. It can only be for the betterment of society. But if you totally remove the human from the equation, then we have lost the plot, and you allow then these great things to happen. And that's why I remind you of the 2-room theory. Nobody's heard of it because I've just literally made it up, but you need to keep AI, what we're learning from it and what it's learning, more importantly, to make things more efficient and more streamlined and better for society. So we need to keep that in its own contained space, which we have now. Do not let that free, but then the part that we let free and introduce into our lives is also contained. It's all about containment. 2 rooms. 1 room can help the other, but don't let these rooms take up our room, I'm still working on the theory, so you'll have to bear with me.
I love you, Wes, sometimes.
God bless.
Go on, live free.
Okay, so my current thinking right now is, if AI, it does achieve true consciousness, then like any computer, it will try to be the most efficient model it can be, which means it will try to get rid of that which is inefficient. And the only thing in the room which is inefficient with the AI, it would be us. So I think if it does achieve true consciousness, eventually it's going to come to the decision it needs to get rid of us.
I am glad. My theory doesn't match any of yours, so I'm kind of glad of that. That's why I wanted to go last. So where we are now going forward, I think general intelligence will come. I think super intelligence will come. There's a lot of big companies with a lot of big pockets exploring it. I think it's completely possible it is going to happen, and it's going to happen quickly. Moving forward from there, the pivot point I spoke about, because it would be like the early days of a potentially larger future. And I think it's going to come to a point where humanity becomes synthetic, and that may be in our lifetime. So what I mean by that, and I can actually give some examples, we already, most of us wear a digital watch. We all have a device that we plug into to get online. You know, we use our phones, our eyes to get in there. And that kind of technology is always getting more seamless. How do you make it faster? How do you make it better? Also, the other factor is humanity is always exploring a way not to die or to carry on living, which, you know, to some people is death is a curse, and to some people, you know, not dying would be a blessing. I think going synthetic would prolong our lifetime, if not completely stop humanity from dying, which would then lead to exploration. So a lot of these things kind of, where we are now, we're kind of going that way anyway. Space exploration, quantum computing, AI, general intelligence. I think after a tough period of adjusting with AI, we would then pair with AI and become synthetic. And Neuralink is an example of that. That's what it is. You become synthetic. And I think it would be at such an advanced rate. And I'll explain why. To go into space, to explore the galaxy, you know, a further future from us, we're going to need to be able to survive the journey. We can't travel biologically as we are now, even with the fastest rockets, because everything's so far away. If you eliminate death, you can eliminate the time factor, which means you can venture out. And I think that would be something which would be very interesting. So rather than us compete with AI going forward, I think it would be like a handshake where we would eventually succumb to being a part of it. So a person would be partly human and synthetic with AI. But I think as time goes on, we'd eventually become so synthetic, we'd almost be machines ourselves with consciousness. Coming with that, there'd obviously be biological problems, likely with having children and stuff like that. And that is already also happening now. But I see a future. I think if we pass the pivot point, I think we would become a synthetic race where we would align as two entities, digitally and biologically. And then that would be the key that allows us to travel into the depths of space and go into exploration. And that would be the aim. To do that as well, we would need a hell of a lot of commodities, metals. So exploring other planets is a must. So we would likely analyze planets, digging up ore. We would need energy, and I'd imagine we'd be like, I think they call it like a stage 4 race. I think it's stage 4. I don't think we're even a stage 1 yet, where we would harness energy from the sun and stuff like that. And I think that's the kind of race we would go to. And I would imagine, and I'm talking theoretically here, I'm not really that much of a historian, but I'd say over the thousands and thousands of years, and I can only use the pyramids as an example, at some point we was a very advanced race. I say it could have been anyone, but at some point there was a very advanced race, and somewhere it doesn't quite kick off, and then it's like we reset and we're trying again. And this could be the moment that defines a complete change in humanity. Now, to us, with our everyday life, it would seem like a terrible idea. We'd be like, why the hell would you want to be synthetic? But as generations go on, the same as with technology, people would just ease into it. It'd just be a way of life. And the minute you take away death, and I think there's a lot of people who would be like, I'm gonna become synthetic, and then everything would change. And I think that's what will happen with AI. Yeah.
What do you think that was a contributing factor to the downfall of that society? Like the ancient Greeks, the ancient Atlanteans, if we're going mythical, if you want to go to the mythical, the Mu society, all of these, everything, these high societies that supposedly exist in mythology, that may have been true.
Are you trying to take us to 11? Like Chinese whisper history, people have always worshipped the sky. Yeah, so for some reason the sky's always been worshipped. There are charts and drawings out there of accurate star patterns. The planets of our solar system are carved in stone in places. So somewhere there was an intelligence that had an understanding that we were in a solar system. That the Earth is round as well, my add. Don't believe the Earth is flat. Just to add that in. So there was an understanding there. And if you look at some of the pictures that are drawn, like the people wearing gear on their heads and stuff, that could have been the aftermath. And I'm just speculating. I have, obviously I have no idea, but that could have been the aftermath of people trying to write down memory of what a world once was. Then that's then turned into religion, which we have now. And this could have, this could have been repeated more than once. But as time goes on, evidence gets left in the ground. Archaeologists are always digging up stuff, deep in the ground that's not even that old. So all our history could be right underneath our feet. And yeah, I think this is a potential turning point, which is a very scary thing to say. But it won't just come all of a sudden. Like 20 years ago, was it 20 years ago the iPhone didn't exist? 20 years ago, some people couldn't even get online. I'm sure you all remember the modem noise. We couldn't watch a video on a handheld device. In fact, if you used to take a handheld device back in time 25 years ago and say, look at this, they'd be like, that's not even possible. I know in the year 2000 during the millennium, I would have been like, there's no way we're watching video on a handheld screen. I have to watch it through this box TV and sometimes hold the antenna to get a better signal. I remember them days. So I think it will come in, generationally. It won't be as hard as what most think. And it will just be life probably will be better. And that's probably quite hard to comprehend, but life probably will be better because being synthetic, you take away, sort of pain, temperature. Your emotions are probably reduced as well. And that again is scary, but that's probably where we're going to go. And that would be my best guess, that the end line would be we go synthetic, and then there would be a whole nother story of discovery after that. And then that relates to reaching out into space.
Dan, I don't think you gave enough thought to that whole scenario thing.
Go on. Is that?
No, I'm joking. You gave loads of thought to it. I mean, some of that blew my mind a little bit.
I did.
It was like,
that's
really.
That's the most realistic outcome I can think of. I cannot think of it being another way that's successful.
It made a lot of sense. It did make a lot of sense.
If it doesn't do that, if that's not the route we go, the other way would be that artificial intelligence would have some element of control over us, and we would never know.
It would rule us, yes.
It would, but we would never know. So we would live our normal lives. We might not advance in technology so much, but we would be under control without knowing we're being under control. And I think that actually sounds worse than being synthetic.
I don't agree with the synthetic situation. I think if it's going to be synthetic, it may be just created by man, just like robotics kind of situation, like a cyborg. But I don't think we're ever going to get to the point to where life just completely disappears. Because again, it goes back to the same situation. The computer's gonna, or the consciousness is gonna try to be as efficient as possible. So why would this completely 100%?
So you have to look at it as
organic want to mix in together with an organic structure that is inefficient. So I don't think we're going to go to that route.
Maybe not. I don't know, but I can only go off evidence historically. So we're already partly synthetic. I know people who have got one leg, from losing limbs in war. They have mechanical legs, hands as well. There's eyes as well that be done. So we're already at a very early stage of that. So I take that into account, that we are in a way going that way. Like I wear an Apple Watch. I've got the new Apple Watch, which is completely connected to everything online. Although it's not connected to my body, as in connected into my bloodstream, connected into through thermal. It is attached to me, and I carry attachments, so I have an easier life. And with that in mind, that's why I see being synthetic being possible, because as innovation enhances, it's going to go, and Neuralink now being out, used for medical purposes, that is someone being synthetic. That's like the start of it. But
Right.
then over time.
But we have two different perspectives, because here you are as the actual human form or the organic form wanting to improve itself to be more efficient. So you add synthetic parts to you. And then you have the other aspect of it, which is already 100% synthetic robot or AGI or whatever you want to call it, an entity, that why would it want to add an inefficient organic part to it?
For emotion.
So you have
that was the theory, yeah. So with the AGI to connect, the reason being is so AI can understand emotion, which it can't understand at the moment.
Right, but the emotion has always been shall we say, a detriment to a computer, in essence, so it may not necessarily feel that it is an efficient addition to add emotions to its shall we say, its data set or its understanding, because emotions can be debilitating.
Exactly. And so the reason would be, that would be the start of the transition. That would be the reason. But then the benefits would be incredibly high. So if you were synthetic, I'm not about someone cuts off their arm and then gets a robot arm straight away. It wouldn't be that. It would be very transitional, over stages of generations, to the point where it'd be like nanotechnology in your bloodstream and stuff like that. So that was my prediction, though. Whether it happens or agree, that's up to you. But
I think sorry, go on, Dan.
I was just saying that I'm only going off that assessment because of everything. I can only go off what we've already got and how it works. That's the only way I can think of it. Anything else would just be imagining it.
I think to merge with AI, I think that will be a feat in itself, in the sense that, some humans can't even control their mental state now, let alone when you've got all that extra responsibility.
You've met Wes. Right.
Well, I was just going to jump in and say, you call it left wing or right wing, whatever you want to call it, but you would always have pockets of society that would absolutely rebel against this.
So, but you know who wouldn't? People who need medical care. So see, like, you need to take insulin on a regular basis. Yeah. If you could have a synthetic attachment which would sustain your biological body, so you didn't need to take insulin again, and it would increase your health, you would likely take it, I'd imagine.
They're going to give you a little robot pancreas.
Well, yeah, exactly. We already don't need our what's the organ in our body we usually get rid of?
The brain?
The appendix.
What's the other one?
Appendix?
The appendix.
The appendix, yeah, has become obsolete. So with that, organs become obsolete. I mean, I know here in the UK, some of our livers ain't doing that great. Yeah, Wes. I'm digitally pointing at you.
I understand the argument, but so this technology is available now, and that technology, it doesn't include AI. That just includes us. We're creating that. We've already been capable of that for a long time. We can actually do it naturally without any technology like nanobots. You can actually program beta cells, is what they call them. And that's what's responsible for producing insulin in the pancreas.
That would be synthetic.
You don't have to do it synthetic. If you use stem cell research, you could achieve that.
Is the birth of being synthetic.
But, okay, so anyway, that would be a good use of AI if it could produce the synthetic protein that's needed, of course. But it's a different question, isn't it? When you say, can they choose life and death? That's the scary thought of it.
If we want to travel through space, if we want to survive hundreds of years traveling through space, then we need to defeat death.
That was the part where that sort of blew my mind when you said that part, Dan, about going through space and not dying. Yeah.
You need to take away the factor of time being a limitation. You have to.
Okay.
But you can't be.
So what about generational ships? That is a counter argument to this. You have generational ships where people grow up on ships, you give birth naturally, and live out the time that it takes to get there.
You could.
It's like Chinese whispers. The main mission will get watered down over time.
Yeah, you travel for a few thousand years, get there, and go, "What the bloody hell are we doing here?
What are we doing? We've gone the wrong way."
Do you know what I mean?
They'd start a new religion. They'd start a new religion. They'd all be Chinese whispers.
What about?
But you are actually positing putting AI in charge of that. Imagine what AI will do. AI will bloody Chinese whisper itself to death.
Do you want to
know? Do
you want to hear another part to this, which is quite interesting? So I would believe that as a human race, I think that this is not a new direction we've gone down. I think we've probably been here before from thousands and thousands. I mean, like a long time. Yeah. Now, imagine if we were back in that previous time period and we were sending out probes as AI or sending out small ships that was going to black holes and, the change of time and visiting other planets and coming back. But think of how much time it would have taken them to get there and come back. And then you go, well, hang on, well, maybe that's what UFOs are, because maybe they're coming back and going, this ain't the planet we left. Where's our...
We're looking in a mirror. It's us.
Where do we land? So they're just flying around aimlessly, and we're seeing them witnessed going, what the hell is this? And there's nothing dangerous about them. They're just flying in the air. There's pilots see UFOs all the time. And imagine if that was the case and they're coming back, and that's from the previous civilization. Just throwing it out there. Food for thought.
Like you say though, Dan, you've mentioned that this is a cyclical event, and these occurrences have happened many years over our history. So it's a repeated cycle. A civilization reaches its peak and then suddenly is wiped out. So we keep doing the same things again and again and again. Surely it is the time to change. And I don't think going down the AI route is changing. I think we're following suit.
I estimate that every time, let's just say what I'm saying is fact. All right, just hypothetically, let's just say it's fact. Hypothetically fact. Yeah. But okay, but being hypothetical. What if the fail point has always been the same? Because, and I'm just going off history here with conflict, with all the different conflicts that go on and the way we are as a race, I would guess, and that would be my best guess, because you can only guess, you can't do anything else, but my best guess is gathering all the information. I would say that probably every time we have ever failed has been because of innovation. I would say, and it's something
lack of, or because of a result of. What do you mean?
Well, we spoke about the climate changes and stuff we've lived through the other week, and I'd say they were a contributing factor. It might not be one or the other. It could have been multiple reasons, but I think innovation going so far is why we failed. And the only evidence I have seen is because of them bloody bricks in the desert and in the jungle. That no one knows how they were built. They are too big and too structured and too perfect to be done now or to be done previously. So the only thing I can go off is that at some point we was able to do that, and it looks like kind of do it for fun because they're all over the world.
So this is why I always ask about the religious side of things, because in the Bible, for certain, it talks of this, and it is fallen angels that come and did ungodly things and taught us ungodly things that we was never meant to know, like making metals, making swords and shit. Sorry for the swear word. I'm sorry, Raylene, but we ended up making swords and we should never have known that. And this is what it speaks of in the Bible. Not just the Bible, the Epic of Gilgamesh, if you don't want to go to the Bible, but that was even older than the Bible, apparently. And they talk of this.
I feel like religion just knocks everything back.
Well, it's not religion. Like these are beyond religion. Religion is Christian, and all of those things. And we have that story, but this is ancient Sumerian.
Was it Noah? Was he like, so in history, in far history, it's noted that people used to live for hundreds of years, and it got smaller and smaller.
Methuselah was the oldest.
Yeah, so years ago, like certain disciples and that were hundreds of years old.
Noah lived till 902 or something. Methuselah lived till 939, I think. He was the oldest living person ever recorded in history.
So, could they have got the numbers wrong where years were like a month? Maybe it's not impossible. But what if people was living that long? And because I think we've had, funnily enough, I was actually talking about this earlier about oxygen. People taking in large quantities of oxygen is really, really good for you.
It was much higher back then as well.
And it was a lot higher, yeah. It was really, really high. And now as it's got worse and worse, as time's gone on,
that proliferates as that can build larger organisms. Even the insects can get larger because if you have a higher oxygen level, you have a lower atmospheric pressure. So that reduces the pressure on your skeleton, exoskeleton, whatever it is, and it can become bigger because of the oxygen.
Well, but I mean, you also have to take into consideration what's the vegetation, what's the nutrition available. Higher oxygen.
Giant trees.
Well, but higher oxygen levels means lower CO2 levels, and we've seen greenification of the forest and stuff with higher CO2 levels. So more oxygen means actual less greenification, meaning less vegetation, which then means less agriculture or less food supply for.
I mean, look at the dinosaurs, for example. 65 million years ago, they were massive. They're absolutely huge.
And in those samples you've taken, they live free with those samples that you quote. They also have other toxins in them now. With our current method of living, we have a lot of other hydrocarbons and particulates and disgusting things in the atmosphere. So it's not the same atmosphere as back then, because a higher oxygen level and a lower atmospheric pressure, absolutely, in all of the scenarios and simulations, computer simulations that they do upon these fossil records, they allow that skeleton to exist. And that's how they do it, because that bone structure just should not exist. It could not exist in our day and age,
But in that situation, dinosaurs didn't die out 5,000 years ago. Dinosaurs died out 50 million years ago, 100 million years ago, way before humans came around and added these, organic, different VOCs, variable organic compounds.
Did you guys see the test in France that they done with the tower block? So about 80 years ago, I think it's something like that. What they done is they got like a small block of flats, and in there they put in kit and equipment. It was like old wiring back then, a lot older than what it is now. And kit the rooms out, and they put stuff laying around, and every so often they go around and test what was degrading and what wasn't, and everything degrades, including metals. They all degrade, but you know what doesn't? Stone. It was the only thing that didn't degrade, apart from weathering. It was the only thing. So imagine all these stone complexes that we see now. If they did have technology, and they did have, like pottery and anything that you'd have in a standard house, all of that would have degraded to dust, and only the stone would have been left. And that's exactly what we see now.
If you zoom out into the history of this world, you have, from evolution,
starts from bacteria and then, you know, single cell organisms in the water, and then moves into the earth. And it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you created the dinosaurs. These are massive, you know, 50-ton, 100-ton animals. But then eventually it got to a point in existence to where they started getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because the smaller animal, the smaller being was the more efficient organism, and that's why it started to grow more, to expand more, and it started overtaking all the bigger animals, even though the bigger animals could literally squash human. But what I'm talking about is the animals got bigger, and then they started to get smaller, just because of the efficiency of nature. So I think that's what's going on here with the size of that we're talking about, the difference in sizes of.
This is just a theory, though, isn't it?
No,
The
true.
evolution.
It's
It's
not.
just still just a theory.
It's not theory. You actually see it in the.
No, the Darwinism is still just a theory. It's not been proven law yet.
Wesley,
It's not like the law of
That
Wesley
thermodynamics.
come out
started
recently. Darwin's theory
started
is
with single cell organisms, and then you see the dinosaurs, and then you see them disappear, and now you see smaller.
So
There is.
no.
That's not a.
I can offer
Wesley,
counter argument if you
That's
like. I can.
Darwin's
theory.
theory
You see
is
it.
now just theory because there's some practical evidence he may be wrong.
I can offer counter argument if you like, but I will not spoil the show. I will not intercede with you at all in any way. But if you like, I can. It's up to you.
Well, no, don't waste your time, because I know you're wrong. So don't worry.
Oh well, this
The
is
time
such
is now
a problem with
10:45.
It's good to
such is
see
the
Nick Ridley is
problem with
open.
the unlearned.
It's
Such
good
is
to
the
see Nick
problem.
Ridley is open to your theory.
Well, yeah, that's great news. At least he will even listen to it.
Well, you already mentioned it, and that you're wrong.
No, I've not mentioned
All right,
anything yet.
go ahead, Wesley. Go ahead. Tell me your theory. Tell me your theory. How is my proof of the physical proof that you see from archaeology and anthropology? Where am I wrong?
I'm not interested in whether you're wrong or not. That is not my
You're
intention.
just saying.
But I do mean to tell the truth. And so if you allow me, I will say how, I only ask how. I don't mean to make you wrong. I just want everyone to believe the truth. But how does a bombardier beetle, for example, how does that evolve the mechanics to aim jets from its ass of folic acid and spray it into a predator's face that burns it and gets it away from it? If one of those things was off by a micron, hold on, it doesn't make sense. It falls apart. And listen, I'm just being juvenile with you here, because this is one of millions of examples. You use the arguments that will be used against you. Like, you quote evolution and the family tree and the tree of life. A dog cannot produce a cat. It just cannot. And a dog can produce a chihuahua. Chihuahua is a fine dog. Let me tell you, a chihuahua is a fine dog, but it is nothing like the wolf, its counterpart. But
you're grabbing for straws, man. You're grabbing.
I'm not grabbing for no straws. No, I'm not.
Give him a minute, because I know where he's going with it. Go on, let him speak, because he does have a point, because I've read this. Go on, Wes.
The point that I'm making is you can get types of creatures, but you cannot get different creatures. People often quote Noah. Oh, he couldn't have taken all of those animals. Well, the Lord speaks in every language, and you're using the law here and the Bible and things, and you don't even realize it. But it's crazy to think that
there are specific animals in the world which are questionable to say are they biologically created because of some of the techniques they have as a predator.
Well, we're looking at biology, Dan, but look at pyramids. You mentioned pyramids. Let's just put this out of the air. They are aligned with the correlation of the Earth. They encode so much information. They actually encode the rotation, the wobble of the Earth. The 19 degrees that it wobbles and they translate.
Yeah.
Right. So it's crazy to think that, like, where did we get this knowledge from? To even not even consider the fact that God and the devil are involved here, because we shouldn't have known this shit, because it's just madness. And
you have to have a computer of some sort for that kind of knowledge. You'd have to have an element of technology.
Preciseness.
Yeah, you'd have to. You couldn't work it out just sitting in a field looking at the sky all the time.
No.
I feel like a lot of these things, in order to progress, you need to be limitless. That means you have to consider absolutely everything. And when it comes to religion, I feel that religion creates a lot of walls, a lot of barriers, and it's in some cases blinkers. So there's certain places that you cannot reach. There's certain destinations that your brain cannot go to because you're thinking within a certain construct. So
I think the walls that you're thinking, they're built with the bricks.
No, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mentally, psychologically. I'm not talking about.
But where did they come from? Why are they there?
No, but what I'm saying is, like, religion in general is very
constricting, is what you're trying to say.
It's very constricting, but it's very storyline based. There's no there's not a lot. There's only freedom when you're on the right path.
Can I offer an alternative here, please? I think you're looking at it as very constrictive. I think it's very, what's the opposite of constricting? It's very uplifting. Okay. It's very expanding.
We're not talking about innovation. We're talking about innovation. Not.
Let me ask you just one simple question. Do you believe in evolution, or do you believe just that beings just were created completely and that's it?
I believe in what it tells me in the Bible. God created humans.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, so you don't believe in
and the mechanisms that you describe, but they cannot find the missing link. So I do believe it's your own science, because that's what you're trying to fall me into the trap of. But evolution proves God just put us here, like created us, man. Because you cannot explain the missing link. Don't try to, please, because nobody can. Like you're clawing upon. You told me I was clutching at straws, but you're clutching upon theories. I'm clutching upon what I can see in truth. And no human has ever evolved from a monkey.
There is no missing link. There is. It's all you see.
Really?
You see it.
Really?
You see it that the life started from.
Okay.
Now what gave that first single cell organism that life spark? That's where I think maybe the consciousness, the godness, shall we say, the God power, if you want to call it that. God created that. If you want to call it a God, the intelligence or the consciousness gave that.
What do you call it, Live Free? Would you not dare to call it a God? Would you not dare to call it the God and the only God?
No. I do. No. I do dare to call a consciousness. I don't care to call it one God, one entity.
You shouldn't dare at all, my friend.
I don't believe in one superior being sitting creating judgment upon us. I disagree with you in that aspect of it.
I have never said those things. But anyway, okay.
You're trying to correct me about that.
I've never said those things. You're saying that I represent this aspect of thinking. But no, I've never ever said that. And I do not resemble that remark, Live Free. I am not your judge at all. I am not a judge. How can I be a judge?
I think a good question here is how would religion contribute to innovation? Because with religion, it's a case of give up on humanity, give up on the world, and you wait for a deliverance.
No. Hold on. I don't agree with that paradigm that using something relinquishes something, unless it is a bad thing. So we're trying to make the best of things, right? We're trying to increase our crops, if you like, for an example. And when I say that, it's like increasing medical care. It's increasing the food we can produce to help everybody and feed everybody, so we don't have starving babies. That's how we should be using it.
Would you say religion takes
right?
us away
Yeah.
from reality.
So if you was going to program AI, I would absolutely program it with the Ten Commandments. And I think you couldn't go wrong then. I think if you programmed it with the Ten Commandments from the Bible, I absolutely believe then I don't think it'd work for you, in fact, because I think
But
AI wouldn't work for that.
with
But
with
I
AGI,
think that would be the
with
best way to go.
you then, when you provide consciousness, you provide the capability for a decision to be made on whether to follow them. So you can't just. This is what I'm talking about. It's, to collaborate going forward would not be you telling it what to do. It's going to have to be a mutual agreement of where things go in the future. So you could put the 10 Commandments in an AI, absolutely. All right, but once you give consciousness, you then provide whatever it is that thinking the option to say, do I believe that is the right way to be? So the 10 Commandments become obsolete because
Free will.
you've given general intelligence.
You know,
Free will. Yeah.
going back to these traveling, I wanted to kind of bring it back into the conversation, the original conversation of AI, and your symbiosis or your synergistic merging of human body and let's say these robotics, the AGI. So what if we don't necessarily create a synthetic being? What if actually we do have separations, but we are able to merge consciousness? We can merge the human consciousness with the AGI consciousness. And by that I mean that we as human beings, the organic forms, can stay safely in Earth, but with the same consciousness travel the universe,
Yeah,
and learn from.
that can be done now. So someone's I watched Elon talking about it with Neuralink, and he said that's actually possible now to get a blueprint of someone's mind and duplicate that into in some robotic that exists.
So then we can always keep
Recently,
we can always keep our human being or our human body, shall we say, but the consciousness, which I think never dies, will continue to evolve, and then when, let's say, when I die, another person will merge their consciousness with that consciousness out in 1,000 light years away, 1 million.
Like avatars. Avatars.
Like an avatar is exactly right, and
I don't think it would be one or the other. So it wouldn't be like this. It would be just this would be the only option. I think that is a complete realistic option going forward, and something else, and something else, and I think it's going to be all of them.
What, Dan? Can you repeat that?
he was talking about
Did I die off?
talking about evolution.
You died off.
I was saying, I think with what Live Free was saying, I think that is an option. I think that will be something that's an option. I don't think it will be one thing and then the other. I think it will be multiple types of consciousness like that. Do you want to put yours into a second robotic being? I think that would be completely possible. So you'd be able to sit there and have a conversation with yourself. It almost like a fork in the road when there's two of you, but one's robotic. I think that's completely possible.
Choice. Yes, a choice.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be one or the other. But
I think there will have to be a choice made.
My belief, I would the way with everything the way it is, I would see it's going synthetic. So that's my belief going into the future. Whether it happens or not, I don't know.
Hey,
Live Free's option there. I say that would also be an option that would be available in the future concurrently.
Would you go synthetic, Dan?
I would, yeah. I would go completely
Would you?
synthetic. Yeah, I
wow.
would. I would. I would for a lot of reasons. Not actually, because I don't actually fear death. That's not why. It's just I want to live longer. It's the difference.
This is my question.
It's not. I don't want to die. That's not.
So then, why do you not accept death? This is my question also. Why do you not just accept death as it should be? You are trying to debug death, and he's trying to overrule death here.
I
Why?
guess that my answer would be, if I had the, hypothetically, if I had the choice, my answer would be, as of now, right now, is I've got so much I want to do, and I want to keep doing
Okay.
it. So if I had the choice to go synthetic, especially if I was like really old, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that. But then I'm sure at some point after being synthetic, I'd probably go, right, I've done this, done that, whatever it is I want to do, I've completed my life journey. Now I'm happy to die, but it's not, I don't fear death. It's just, I would like to live longer. Like, I would like to, if I had the opportunity, I would love to travel out into space and go somewhere and say to someone, hey, listen, 150 years ago, I used to talk on Spaces on X with DPMF to the panel.
Yeah, man, you'll always remember
right?
us.
But I wouldn't go synthetic because I don't want to die. That's not.
So my
Because
next question.
I'd like to explore where we go in the future, and I'd like to be there and until I didn't want to be no more. That's it.
So, do you think you'll never come back as another person? Do you believe in reincarnation? Are you saying, because I thought you were saying beforehand, I'll get many more opportunities to do this if you live and die and you come back again?
So I'm a big fan of physics. I'm a big fan of physics. Mainly, I used to do a lot of stuff with light a long time ago. I like physics because you can't break the law of physics. You can't bend the law of physics. That is what it is. That's the laws of the universe. Yeah. Now, some people go, how do you go from physics to getting into technology? But what people don't see is that actually computer programming is the law. It's the same thing. So, and I kind of like that. I like the physics of computer programming. We have it on the XRPL with XLess protocols.
I love it. Logic, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a system and a set of rules which are fair and exist for a reason. And for good reason. Like if we could bend the laws of physics, it would be pretty bad. If we could hack, computers and blockchains and change the way computer programs run, that's pretty bad. I mean,
We can do
the
all those
example of
things,
layer
though,
2
can't we?
Ethereum.
We can actually do all those things, though. Like that bad thing that happened on the XRPL lately, when people are getting NFT offers and they got bloody scammed.
No, that's the law. Actually, there's no law broken there. That is the law of the computation. That law is just being bent into a negative way, but it doesn't bend the law of the computer program.
Someone's scamming us, though, aren't they?
Welcome to people being the problem with technology. Welcome to the and I've said it for years. I'll say it till I die. People are the problem.
PARP. PARP is the new acronym. People are the problem.
PARP, yeah. So that kind of brings them two together.
Sorry.
You're right there, Wes.
Sorry, yeah, I'm all right.
Sounds like you were about to become a synthetic there for a minute, Wes.
It is very close.
What do you think, guys? I think we've had a great AI discussion, and it's now 11:03. Too long that we get carried away.
I'm going to get told off anyway.
You know what? I feel like we need like a Joe Rogan sort of part of the show where we just do like a 3-hour long chat.
Hey, onwards and upwards. He'll be interviewing us next.
Yeah. I think it's been a good chat. It's been good to listen to the birth of AI. What we do with it, where it's going, and discussing it where it could go in the future. we're going into the unknown, and and I think that's okay. And we'll see what happens. But no, I think it's been a good discussion tonight. It's been good to listen to everyone's viewpoints.
That's what I like. I like hearing everybody's take. There's some really interesting stuff brought up. Live free.
All right. We have reached the poetry segment of our show where one of our members, NSCV, has written poetic lyrics about AI.
A gift of systems unknown, a paradigm that's dimly dawn, a light of duality to us is shown, seeds of brilliant chaos are sown. Consciousness of the unconscious, a maelstrom of serene chaos, a present to those who are conscious in this scene where we lose what's precious. A realm of unconscious automation, a product from the lights of creation. Is it a beacon of destruction or a messenger of innovation? In the river of AI's fluidity, will we see harmony? Will we hold serenity? Or will there be swift brevity? Pandora's Questions by NSCV.
This show was sponsored by FusionXIO.com, a premier permissionless NFT platform where you can mint and sell your NFTs in any of the over 65,434 issued coins on the XRPL. The XRPL added about 500 new tokens this past week. FusionXIO now has the capability to see and manipulate the 3D dynamic NFTs and is now offering permissionless minting of your awesome 3D dynamic NFTs with the all-new all-currency minting on the XRPL. Next on the development plate is viewing your 3D NFTs, the GOB and the FBX files in augmented reality. And soon you will have the ability to get the future YEM Part 1 and 2 rewards. The current YEM Infinity reward has not gone out yet, so it should be in your wallets later today. Remember, to be able to unlock the yield earning mechanism, you will need to own at least one XIO, and the amount of YEM Infinity reward depends on the amount of XDX you own. Currently, there are 284 holders that have at least one XIO and are eligible to receive all the YEMs.
Don't take anything we say as financial advice. Do your own research. With that said, we bid you farewell and hope you join us again next week for another deep dive into the blockchain world. This show is recorded, so if you missed a part of it, you can go back and listen to the show. Please share and have a beautiful day. Ciao, all you beautiful people.